At the family dinner, I publicly brought up divorce, and Zhongzhe just laughed, a bitter, angry laugh. Just because I peeled a shrimp for my sister-in-law 2 days ago, you're still making a fuss about it. She's my sister-in-law. What's wrong with me taking a little extra care of her? It was the same in my previous life. Ever since his brother was severely injured, he always put me second, prioritizing his fragile, helpless sister-in-law, even when I voiced my grievances. They took the moral high ground to condemn me. Why can't you just give in to your sister-in-law? Later, on Lin Wei's birthday, her ski trip took a tragic turn. Zhongzhe chose to escort her down the mountain, leaving me alone to perish in the avalanche. That's when I realized, Lin Wei wasn't just my sister-in-law, she was the love of his life. Seeing my silence, Zhongzhe scoffed lightly, then you'd better not regret it. He seemed convinced I was just throwing a tantrum. With a flourish, he signed his name on the last page, radiating confidence and composure. But this time, I was truly done with him. I won't, ever. My tone was resolute. The family dinner suddenly fell into a dead silence. Zhongzhe's hand, holding his chopsticks, was trembling, his eyes fixed on me, yet, I remained composed. Finally, he threw down his chopsticks, grabbed the divorce agreement, signed it directly, and then hurled both the agreement and the pen at me. The paper was sharp, leaving a small cut on my left cheek. The ink from the pen stained my white dress black. No one expected a family dinner to escalate to this point. Zhongzhe left with 2 parting remarks. See you at the Bureau of Civil Affairs tomorrow. If you don't show up, I'll make sure someone drags you there. Suyin, let's see how tough you really are. Then he left without looking back. Lin Wei instinctively moved to follow him, but Mother Zhong slammed her hand on the table and snapped, "Sit down, Mom." Zhongzhe is furious right now. He needs someone to comfort him. Even if he needs comforting, you're the last person who should be doing it. Madame Zhong's tone was ice cold as she shot Lin Wei a look of pure disdain. Though Lin Wei had indeed grown up in the Zhong household, her mother having served as their maid for nearly 30 years, out of respect for her mother's service. Madame Zhong had funded Lin Wei's education and never stinted on giving her the same privileges as the 2 young masters of the house, yet Lin Wei had crossed the line. At 18, she drugged Zhongqing, the eldest son of the Zhong family, and seduced her way into his bed. Out of concern for her reputation, Zhongqing had no choice but to marry her. This led him to voluntarily relinquish his position as the Zhong family heir, enlist in the military, and return 5 years later with both legs paralyzed, a fallen angel dragged through the mud. Had Lin Wei stood by him through thick and thin, Madame Zhong might have reconsidered her opinion of the girl, yet, she still harbored the delusion of getting close to Zhongzhe. His mother had long detested her, though she never explicitly said so. This was the first time she had openly shown her disdain. Lin Wei, Zhongzhe might not see through your little schemes, but that doesn't mean I can't. Even if Ain and Zhongzhe divorce, don't even think you'll have any other kind of relationship with him. Lin Wei's fingers clenched, her face paled, and she bit her lower lip, her eyes fixed on me with hostility. I just looked up at her, gave a slight smile, then put away the divorce papers and picked up my chopsticks. I continued to serve myself food and eat. I will never again participate in this ambiguous game between her and Zhongzhe. After a long moment, Lin Wei took a deep breath, her voice softening. Mom, I only care about Xiaoza as an elder sister-in-law would for a younger brother. There's nothing more to it. If there's nothing else, I'll head back to my room now. Madame Zhong responded with a cold smirk and fell silent. Lin Wei excused herself from the table. As the family dinner ended, I was about to leave with the divorce papers when Mother Zhong suddenly called out to me. Ain. I stopped, but didn't turn around. I can see you're serious, as Zhongzhe's mother. Perhaps I should try to persuade you. After all, couples always make up after a fight, but, this time, I won't try to stop you. Suddenly taken aback, I turned and met Madame Zhong's piercing gaze. The Zhong family reigned supreme in the capital. After Patriarch Zhong's death, opportunistic relatives circled like vultures, yet Madame Zhong single-handedly secured her position, ruthlessly decisive. She always put interests first. I thought she would never approve of my relationship with Zhongzhe. To my surprise, she didn't object, even supported us. After divorcing Zhongzhe, what are your plans? I gave it serious thought. When I was reborn, all I wanted was to go home, back to Harbor City, to leave the capital for good and never return. But then I thought, why should I? I got into Jing University at 18 and spent the next 10 years making a name for myself in the capital. Why should I give up the career, connections, and resources I painstakingly built, all for a man? finally, I said. Cut off all collaborations with Zongze first. From now on, we're strangers. 2. Zongze and I weren't exactly a match made in heaven. To be precise, I married beneath me. After the college entrance exam, I officially stepped into the business world for the first time, attending various banquets with my father. It was at one of these auctions that I met Zongze. That was in Victoria Harbor. He came with his mother. His expression remained utterly impassive throughout the entire auction. Cold and detached as if nothing could capture his attention, until Madame Zong offered 300 million to my father for a collectible military saber. A storm of complex emotions instantly swirled in Zongze's eyes. There was envy, there was jealousy. He simply watched Madame Zong in silence. At first, I thought that saber held extraordinary significance for Zongmu. Later, I encountered Zongze again at a banquet, but he was alone. He was lost in thought, by himself, in the back garden. I watched him pull up a peony by its roots, tearing off petal after petal, as if he were asking the flower, or perhaps himself, why couldn't she love me a little more? Why did she only have eyes for eldest brother? When my older brother got into university, she was overjoyed, but when it was my turn, I was met with a bucket of cold water. I got into the best school, the best program, everyone was praising me. So why couldn't she see it? His silhouette was one of solitude and loneliness. He even started questioning the heavens, wondering why he was born when his older brother already existed, and since he was born, why couldn't he be treated fairly? He was crying silently, and in that moment, I couldn't empathize, so I didn't approach him. I just quietly stayed by his side. Originally, my father wanted me to stay in Hong Kong and apply to HKU. But by some twist of fate, I ended up going to Beijing and choosing Peking University. My father was a bit surprised, but he didn't stop me. He told me, you only live for about 30,000 days. If you want something, fight for it, seize it. So I took the initiative to get to know Zongze and actively became a part of his life. We met when I was 18, got our marriage license at 22, and have been married for 6 years. For 10 years, whatever Zongze wanted that I had, I gave. If I didn't have it and he wanted it, I'd go out and get it for him. I knew his childhood was sorely lacking in sweetness. In his past life, he told me that back then, whether it was his elders or his parents, they always brought gifts specifically for Zongqing. He was always just an afterthought, except for Lin Wei, his so-called childhood sweetheart. Only her candy was exclusively for him, and even if it was expired, it was the only special light in his childhood. He kept abandoning me for Lin Wei back then. I'd always tell myself, Lin Wei made up for Zongze's lost childhood, so his kindness to her has nothing to do with love. But I overestimated my own tolerance. When I was sick with a high fever and Lin Wei happened to sprain her ankle, Zongze chose her. I need a male escort for the banquet, and so does Lin Wei. Since Zongqing can't make it, Zongze will still choose Lin Wei. Birthdays, anniversaries, every time he promised, every time he broke it. I've had my moments of frustration, demanding, "Are you my husband?" or Lin Wei's, but in the end, all I got was Zongze's disappointed reply, "My brother-in-law is hurt and doesn't want to see anyone. My sister-in-law is already so miserable. Why can't you just give her a break?" I was speechless then, my heart aching with every beat. Zongze's friends urged me to be more understanding, telling me, if he had feelings for Lin Wei, he wouldn't have let her marry his brother. Lin Wei also feigned reconciliation. "Xiaoze and I are completely innocent. We've never crossed any lines. Don't overthink it. I'm your and Xiaoze's sister-in-law, and I always will be." But isn't emotional infidelity still infidelity? I was in agony and despair in this marriage, countless times contemplating divorce, but I could never bring myself to do it, never truly let go. I couldn't bear to part with Zongze, with that boy who always tugged at my heartstrings whenever I saw him. 10 years of shared history had already become ingrained in my very being. It wasn't until Lin Wei's birthday in my past life, until the avalanche, that he reached past me to grab Lin Wei's hand, leaving me behind in the mountains. Can't hear my desperate cries for help, can't hear me say, "I can't see clearly here," can't hear me weep. In that moment, I suddenly let go. Life's just 30,000 days, no need for obsessions. I'm lucky to have a second chance at life. I will never repeat my past mistakes. My mother-in-law wants me to understand that even if Zongze and I divorce, business is business and personal matters are personal. In our 6 years of marriage, our interests have become deeply intertwined. We each have a stake in almost every project. 3. Pulling out now would be devastating. Besides, Zhongzhe is currently the only one who can handle a company of our size. It seems they've all forgotten that Zhongzhe was never my only option. I simply chose him because I liked him. After leaving the old Zhong family residence, I just smiled. I received a strange text message from Hong Kong. I hear you're divorcing Zhongzhe. I raised an eyebrow, stared at the message for a long time, ultimately didn't reply, deleted and blocked the number, then immediately called my father. I asked him for the best lawyer in Hong Kong, Chen Ning. The next day, just as I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Zhongzhe pulled up in a black Volkswagen. Lin Wei was in the passenger seat, and as she rolled down the window and looked at me, a faint smile touched her lips. Ain, don't get the wrong idea. I had a low fever last night, and Xiaoza just took me to the hospital, that's why. I ignored her, walking straight past. Her face immediately fell. Zhongzhe frowned instantly, displeased. Suyin, didn't you hear your sister-in-law talking to you? When are you going to get rid of that spoiled princess attitude of yours? Suddenly, I let out a soft scoff, a mocking smirk playing on my lips. Zhongzhe, I'm actually quite curious. Zhongqing only lost the use of his legs. He's not dead. You're so eager to take care of his wife. Does he really not have any problem with that? Or do you guys prefer playing threesomes? Zhongzhe immediately flared up, clenching his fists. Suyin, what are you talking about? I have no ulterior motives with Lin Wei. I've always just seen her as my sister-in-law. Are you ever going to drop this? You're divorcing me just because I peeled a shrimp for Lin Wei. If you're sick, I'll get you an appointment right away. A sharp, resounding slap. I walked up to Zhongzhe and slapped him hard across the face. His words died in his throat as he stared at me in disbelief, his eyes filled with confusion and a touch of helplessness. Lin Wei immediately got out of the car to check Zhongzhe's face. The fingerprint marks on his left cheek were even more pronounced. Her eyes reddened at the corners as she stood in front of Zhongzhe. Ain, how could you hit Xiaoze? What did Xiaoze do wrong? Even if you're upset, you can take it out on me. How could you? By the end, she was choked up, large tears streaming down her face. I let out a cold chuckle. To my surprise, Zhongzhe completely ignored Lin Wei and kept his gaze fixed on me, his eyes filled with complex emotions. Once inside the Civil Affairs Bureau, just as I was about to sign the confirmation, Zhongzhe suddenly grabbed my hand, his fingers trembling almost imperceptibly. Suyin, he said, are you really sure you want to keep this charade going with me? You know I won't grovel before you, much less beg you to remarry me. Once 30 days are up, I won't be coming to withdraw it. He spoke each word deliberately, as if reminding me, and perhaps himself too, once this is signed, there's no turning back for any of us. He's gambling that I can't leave him, that I'm just throwing a tantrum, that I still love him. But this time, I smiled, and with deliberate, careful strokes, I signed my name on the divorce papers. Then I thought about it carefully. If I hadn't come to Jingshi and actively approached Zhongzhe, we would never have started. Everything just goes back to square one. A while later, when I received the 30-day cooling-off period receipt, Zhongzhe's gaze seemed to pierce right through me. His eyes filled with coldness. Suyin, it's you who can't live without me. Don't come begging me to withdraw the application in tears when the time comes. With those words, he walked away hand in hand with Lin Wei. I stood rooted to the spot, silently watching his figure fade into the distance. No, that day will never come. News of Zhongzhe and my divorce quickly spread through our circle. Many people thought I was crazy. Zhongzhe's friends would occasionally bring up the peeling shrimp incident to tease me. Plus, Lin Wei always liked to use her passive-aggressive tactics. She'd stir up trouble at social gatherings, which led to some of Zhongzhe's friends privately advising me, Lin Wei and Zhongzhe are like family. Why take it this far and make us a laughingstock? It's just peeling a shrimp. If you want more, we'll have Zhongzhe peel as many as you like. If you're jealous, just admit it. Don't play hard to get too much. Making a big scene won't do anyone any good. I didn't respond to anything. I just blocked them all. Upon arriving in Jing City, Chen Ning immediately began to help separate my project from Zhongzhe's, minimizing the losses. Zhongzhe called me right away after he found out, asking to meet. I flat out refused. I just never expected to run into Zhongzhe and Lin Wei that very evening at my family friend uncle's banquet. Lin Wei was wearing a form-fitting cheongsam, her hair elegantly styled in an updo, and her makeup was flawless. As she walked into the banquet arm in arm with Zhongzhe, they drew many eyes, especially with all the recent rumors swirling around. Almost all of them wore an inquisitive expression, none stepping forward to offer compliments. It wasn't until her gaze landed on my uncle and me that a slight smile touched her lips. Isn't this Aine? She walked over. I heard you and Xiaozhe had a falling out recently, splitting up your projects, and you're looking for new partners. Don't tell me. Her voice trailed off abruptly, her eyes shifting to the empty wine glass in my hand, an unreadable expression on her face. I smiled and looked up. Miss Lin, don't you think you're overstepping your bounds a bit? Zongze and I used to be married, and I was willing to respect you and call you sister-in-law, but do you really think that just because you're a nanny's daughter who slept her way into becoming young Master Zong's wife, you can boss me around? You, Suyin? Lin Wei's face turned pale, then flushed, and her eyes welled up with tears again. She truly looked pitiful. I let out a scoff, put down my glass, and gestured for uncle to head upstairs to talk. Just as I was passing Zongze, apologize, he said, raising his hand to grab my arm. I shot back, what if I don't? Suyin, don't you forget, Jing City is my territory. No matter how capable you are, if I don't want you here, you won't last. All I need you to do right now is apologize to Lin Wei. Zongze's eyes narrowed, a clear threat in their depths. Seeing this, my uncle was about to speak up, but I stopped him with a look. I then reached out and yanked Zongze's tie. Pulling him closer, I leaned in and whispered in his ear. Zongze, if I'm not happy, your Zong family can forget about making it here. Everyone just assumed I was from Hong Kong, but my mother was once the most prominent socialite in Beijing, and the Zong family, now at the top, only got there because my mother's side of the family stepped back. Suyin, Zongze glared at me, gritting his teeth. I curved my lips into a smile and withdrew my hand. That's all there is to it. He suddenly grabbed my chin, his grip firm. Don't speak too soon. Just because Lin Wei doesn't know your company's situation doesn't mean I don't either. If I'm not mistaken, if a new round of investment doesn't come in soon, the project won't be able to start, and you'll be facing losses in the hundreds of millions. You're so stubborn. I'd like to see how you explain that to your company's shareholders. With that, he disgustedly let go of me and walked away. Even Lin Wei, who was crying her eyes out beside me, was completely forgotten. Lin Wei shot me a hateful glare. Over the years, few in the industry truly respected her because of her aggressive tactics to get into bed with men, but out of deference to Zongze, everyone played along. No one dared to openly mock her. Now, with me exposing her true colors in front of everyone, Lin Wei couldn't maintain her composure any longer. As she walked past me, she stated bluntly, Suyin, I'll be honest with you, I want Zongze, and I'm going to get him. I shrugged indifferently and uttered two words, suit yourself. The banquet still concluded smoothly. After finalizing the collaboration with our family friend, Uncle, Chen Ning went to see him off. I had originally planned to go up to the top floor and get a room to rest. Suddenly, a waiter handed me a card. Miss Su, you are cordially invited for a chat. I frowned slightly. The handwriting was unfamiliar, yet strangely familiar. Who sent you with the card? The waiter honestly replied. He said his name was Zong. Suddenly, I froze. At Elements Club, Zongze sat in the booth, a cigarette dangling from his lips, his face a mask of displeasure. 5. He hadn't originally intended to go to today's banquet, but when he heard Suyin would be there, he worried she might be pressured into drinking heavily while trying to secure a deal, so he went. But to his surprise, Suyin's temper hadn't changed a bit. She could be amicable and business-savvy with anyone else, but with him, she just had to be stubborn. Only 10 days left until the 30-day cooling-off period is over. He had originally thought Suyin was just being a bit jealous and would get over it in a week at most, but this time, his heart was always in turmoil, filled with anxiety, especially that day at the Civil Affairs Bureau, when Suyin slapped him. More than humiliation, what he felt was utter disbelief. Don't know why, Zongze. It looks like Suyin is really serious about divorcing you this time. After a moment, his brother chuckled, teasing him. Zongze looked up and scoffed. You don't know Suyin, but do you really think I don't? Suyin would never actually divorce me, not even if it killed her. It's just a woman's trick to play hard to get. She wants me to bow down, but I refuse. His brother chuckled again at that. He then walked over to Zongze, lit a cigarette for him, and said, honestly, what's the big deal about lowering your head? Suyin is beautiful. Comes from a good family. She's like the little princess of a wealthy Hong Kong family. She could have anyone, but she's been in love with you for 10 years. And what do? You're in love with Lin Wei. Suddenly, Zongze frowned. Are you out of your mind? Who told you I like Lin Wei? His brother's smile instantly froze, replaced by a look of shock and disbelief. No, if you don't like Lin Wei, then why the hell are you always protecting her? And even going against your own wife for her? You might fool others because of your big brother, but do you really think we'd fall for that? Zongzi fell silent. His brother tentatively asked, so you don't like Lin Wei, but you like Suyin? Zongzi stubbed out his cigarette. Is it that hard to tell, if I don't like her? Why would I marry her? Am I out of my mind? The private room instantly fell into a dead silence. His brother's lips twitched, and he woodenly picked up his glass, downing the drink in one gulp. Over the past few years, Zongzi's kindness towards Lin Wei had clearly crossed a line, but because they were friends, everyone assumed Zongzi was in love with Lin Wei, a love that couldn't be reciprocated. That's why they covered for Zongzi. But to everyone's surprise, Zongzi had been in love with Suyin all along. So, your kindness to Lin Wei is. Zongzi sighed deeply, leaning back into the booth seat, his neck tilted slightly upwards. When everyone else overlooked him, Lin Wei saw him. She was the candy that even Zongqing didn't have, but only he possessed. Even when he later learned that the candy only ended up in his hands because Zongqing had rejected it, he still cherished it deeply, which made him completely forget all that Suyin had done for him over the past decade: unexpired candies, unforgettable birthdays, exclusive gifts, and skyscrapers named after him. His childhood voids had actually been gradually filled by Suyin. It's none of your business, I just don't like Lin Wei. I wasn't wrong. The person who asked to meet me was indeed Zongqing, but he moved to Hong Kong City after retiring from the military. When did he quietly return to Beijing? 6. So why did you ask me out, on the rooftop? Zongqing sat across the long table, his face pale, his fringe falling over his forehead. He wore a white shirt, his tie slightly loosened, his right leg had been amputated after being blown off, and the kneecap of his left leg was crushed by a boulder. He would be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I had only met him once, at my wedding with Zongzi. Mr. Zong, long time no see. Zongqing gave me a slight smile and gestured for me to sit down. I didn't play coy and just took a seat. His assistant, who was right beside him, placed a document in front of me. The moment I recognized the words on it, a slight smile played on my lips. It was the Zong family's equity transfer agreement. If I recall correctly, Zongqing holds 15% of the shares. It's not a huge amount, but it's just enough to cover my losses. I hear your company has been divesting from Zongzi recently, and that requires a significant amount of capital. I don't know. Is this equity enough to cover it? Zongqing's voice was soft, his eyes fixed on me. I raised an eyebrow, pulling my gaze from the agreement. It's enough, but I'm more curious. Mr. Zong, what do you want from me? Marry me, Zongqing replied. I was momentarily taken aback. 15% of the Zong Group's shares, plus my personal assets valued at 3 billion, all yours, if you just say the word. Zongqing spoke, his eyes betraying no emotion. I can't tell if he's just incredibly good at hiding his true intentions, or if he genuinely just wants to make a deal with me. Zongqing has been crippled for 3 years now, ever since he arrived in Hong Kong. Some say he's here to stage a comeback, to challenge Zongzi for the heir apparent position. Others claim he's simply given up. Regardless, Zongqing is a far more formidable opponent than Zongzi. After a long moment, I curved my lips into a smile at him. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Zong, you're a married man. Zongqing smiled back, gesturing for his assistant to hand me 2 more documents, a divorce agreement and a market valuation. The divorce agreement was dated 3 years ago, around the time he returned from the military, and it even included a dark red divorce certificate. So, Zongqing and Lin Wei divorced 3 years ago. Then why? Lin Wei drugged me back then, but I didn't touch her. She begged me not to tell anyone. She was only 18 at the time. I married her to protect her reputation. We signed a prenuptial agreement for a 3-year term. After we got our divorce certificate, she asked me to keep it quiet for a while, and I agreed, but I never imagined she'd come between you and Zongzi. Hong Kong City was still too far from Jing City, and he had deliberately cut himself off from the outside world due to his severe injuries. I only heard about it recently. All these years, Zongzi's actions. Miss Su, this is my fault. The 15% equity is an apology gift, and the 3 billion is a betrothal gift. After saying that, Zongqing's gaze remained fixed on me. I pursed my lips, beginning to seriously appraise the man before me. Zongqing was no less handsome than Zongzi. In fact, to be honest, he was even more striking, and his demeanor was mature and steady. In those years, Zongzi often desperately clawed his way up, Driven by everyone's favoritism towards Zongqing, he was desperate to prove he was better, more capable than Zongqing, and he succeeded. Seeing Zongqing again today, it suddenly dawned on me that some people are just born winners, like Lin Wei, like Zongqing. But what makes Zongqing think I need his help? After a long pause, I asked, what if I refuse? Zongqing looked at me, a faint smile playing on his lips. That just means I haven't given enough, but it's alright. I can work hard to reclaim the Zong Corporation, with the Zong Corporation as a betrothal gift. Would Miss Su be swayed? In the end, last night, I agreed to marry Zongqing. He's right, I'm not swayed. That just means he hasn't offered enough, but with the Zong clan involved, that's a whole different story. I still can't figure out why Zongqing wants me to marry him. 7:12 noon, Zongqing appeared in my office right on time. I looked up from my documents to see his assistant dutifully placing a thermal container on the coffee table, then meticulously arranging the dishes. He quietly left the office, thoughtfully closing the door behind him. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow, looking at Zongqing. Mr. Zong, quite the familiar type, aren't you? Zongqing smiled faintly. Just want you to get used to this kind of life ahead of time. After all, this will be the norm once we're married. I licked my lips, finally put down the documents, and walked over to Zongqing. Mr. Zong, since we've already chosen to cooperate, you can lay your cards on the table. There's no need to play these devoted husband games with me. Zongqing pressed his lips together, silent, and with his well-defined hands, picked up a pair of chopsticks and handed them to me. I didn't answer, but he didn't seem annoyed. He just smiled again and said, Suyin, do you really not know what I want? He looked at me. I frowned and replied, I don't know. Zongqing and I weren't old acquaintances, nor did we have any shared history. If he was willing to use the Zong group as leverage, he must have been after something much bigger. But anything I had, he had too. Our eyes met, and after a long pause, Zongqing finally gave me a direct answer. Because I want to be Zongza for once. What? I asked, confused. Zongqing smiled. I wanted to know how it feels to be loved unconditionally. I wonder if I could be as lucky as Zongza, to be loved by you, to be cherished in the palm of your hand. He said he was in the prime of his life at 18, it seemed everyone loved him, but in reality, everyone was plotting against him. Even his mother claimed to love and care for him, but she was merely grooming him as a tool for succession. He couldn't afford to make a single mistake, nor could he have his own opinions. My only acts of rebellion were marrying Lin Wei and joining the military. Suyin, I want you to love me. My pupils constricted sharply, and my lips parted slightly, but no words came out. I don't know much about the Zong family, but it's common knowledge that Mrs. Zong dotes on Zongqing. Otherwise, why would she have offered 300 million back then just to get my father's collectible military saber? Before I could even react, Zongqing's hands, almost reverently, cupped my face. His fingertips cool against my skin, I couldn't help but shiver. The emotions he had kept hidden in his eyes were laid bare in that instant. All those things I couldn't grasp, couldn't quite make out, suddenly seemed to click into place. But then, what are you doing? The office door was violently kicked open. Zongze stood at the doorway, his eyes bloodshot, an ominous aura clinging to him. The document in his hand was crumpled beyond recognition, his fingers clenched into a fist. Knuckles white from the strain, veins bulging on the back of his hand. 8. When did you get back to Jing City? His voice was chillingly cold. By then, Zongqing had already let go of me. He looked at Zongze, a faint smile playing on his lips. Xiaoze, long time no. With a bang, Zongze slammed the documents onto the coffee table, then lunged forward, grabbing Zongqing's collar. His eyes were terrifyingly red. I'm asking you, when did you get back to Jing City? Zongqing, Suyin is my wife. Do you have any idea what you just did? He gritted his teeth, asking each word deliberately. Zongqing's smile never wavered. He was calm and composed, clearly more like a mature man compared to Zongza. I know exactly what I'm doing. Suyin divorced you, she's free now, so I'm going to pursue her. What do you think? The voice abruptly cut off, followed by the dull thud of flesh connecting. Zongqing's left cheek quickly swelled, and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Zongze had completely lost his temper and wasn't about to let Zongqing off the hook. Just as he was about to throw another punch, I immediately stopped him. Zongze, if you want to make a scene, take it outside. This is my office. Zongze let out a cold laugh, his raised fist frozen midair. Me causing trouble? Suyin, are you blind? Am I the one stirring things up here? He's the one provoking me. You're my wife. My lawfully wedded wife, what right does Zongqing have to touch you? To even look at you with those thoughts, do I have to give him everything he wants? Suyin, you said you'd only ever love me, that you'd give me anything I wanted. What about now? Are you going to abandon me for Zongqing too? By the end, he was practically screaming. The voice carried resentment, fury, and a barely perceptible tremble. I simply leaned down calmly to pick up the nearly ruined document, an investment contract. Without opening it, I tossed it straight into the trash. Replied in an indifferent tone, "You're wrong, you chose someone else first. That's why I don't want you, not because of Zongqing. Whether Zongqing was involved or not, we were going to get a divorce anyway." Zongzi was stunned. Zongzi was forcibly escorted out of Su Yin's company, sitting in the driver's seat, his pupils slightly dilated, his eyes welled up with unease and confusion, like a young animal abandoned in a blizzard, unable to find its way home or its pack. He couldn't understand how he and Suyin had reached this point in just a few days. 9. Before leaving Elements last night, his brother told him, "It's no big deal for a man to humble himself once. You can't really throw away your wife just for the sake of pride, can you?" He also knew there were only 9 days left before the application would be withdrawn. If he didn't act soon, he and Suyin would be truly finished. That one sentence kept him awake all night. He typed and retyped, "Can we not get divorced? I was wrong," into his chat with Suyin countless times, but never sent it. Then he deleted it, character by character. He takes his pride way too seriously, and genuinely believes he did nothing wrong this time. It was just peeling shrimp for Lin Wei while unintentionally neglecting her. Since when did Suyin become so petty? If he gives in to her demands now, what's stopping Suyin from threatening divorce again next time, by sunrise? He devised a win-win solution and immediately had the legal department draft an investment cooperation agreement. He was ready to proactively go and see Suyin. Asking her not to divorce him was something he could never bring himself to say, but at least, they could give each other a way out. So, as soon as he got the contract, he rushed to find Suyin, but he never expected to walk in on Zongqing confessing his feelings to her. The sight of their intimacy almost made him lose his mind on the spot. Nothing in this world truly belonged to him. There was only Suyin left. She was all he had, but why, in the end, couldn't he even hold on to Suyin? Suddenly, he recalled everything that had happened over the years, his care for Lin Wei, and his neglect of Suyin. He was on the verge of collapse just imagining Zongqing even brushing past Suyin. So what must Suyin have been thinking all those years when he repeatedly abandoned her for Lin Wei? When an avalanche occurs, no single snowflake is innocent. He always took the moral high ground to criticize Suyin, for not being magnanimous enough, for being petty, but Suyin truly loved him. That's why she went mad for him, fell apart for him, isn't it? In the past, he couldn't understand her pain, now he finally does. But his Suyin, will she ever come back? Meanwhile, in the office, Zongqing was still there, and the lunch he'd personally made was pretty much ruined, but I still picked up my bowl and chopsticks, reaching for the dishes that hadn't been affected. After a long moment, Zongqing finally spoke, "I'm not doing this to get back at you because of Lin Wei." I just glanced at him, but didn't reply, and then continued eating. "Suyin, can you trust me just this once?" he repeated, his voice barely a whisper. His left cheek was still slightly swollen, and though the blood from the corner of his mouth had been wiped away, a bruise remained. What a pitiful sight. The day after I told Zongzi I wanted a divorce, I got a text from Hong Kong. "Was that from you?" Zongqing pressed his lips together, not denying it. Suddenly, I let out a small laugh, then put down my chopsticks. "Zongqing, aren't you ashamed? Trying to steal your brother's girl?" "No," Zongqing replied. I let out a small chuckle and walked back to my desk. As I passed Zongqing, my gaze drifted to his legs once more. "Zongqing, do you want to stand up again? The cooling off period is over." I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau as agreed, but Zongzi didn't show up. He thought that if he didn't come, the divorce certificate couldn't be issued, but he was wrong. From the day I decided to divorce him, my mother had already arranged everything for me. 10. When the time comes, whether he shows up or not, the certificate will be issued. The moment I received the divorce certificate, the huge weight that had been pressing on my heart finally lifted. 20 years of affection, spanning across past and present lives. It's finally over. To my surprise, the moment Zongzi got the divorce papers, he showed up outside my office that very afternoon, just as I stepped out of the building. Zongzi's car screeched to a halt right in front of me. I instinctively took a step back as a disheveled Zongza emerged from the driver's seat. I hadn't seen him in almost 5 days, and he looked completely dejected. His chin was covered in stubble, and there were dark circles under his eyes. His shirts, which used to be impeccably neat, were now all wrinkled and creased. His brother even approached me privately, urging me not to push things too far. He said, "Zongza loves you. He just gets stuck sometimes, and you know how stubborn he can be. You put up with him for 10 years, so why let a small thing ruin everything?" I just find it ironic. They're Zongza's brothers, and all they care about is whether he's doing well. When he was straying, they helped cover for him. When he chose Linwei again and again, they could just lie through their teeth. Now that Zongza and I are divorced, he's completely fallen apart, and here they are, playing the role of caring brothers, telling me to just move on. But why should I? You have to pay the price for your mistakes. Zongza stopped in front of me, his fingers clenched around the dark red divorce certificate. It was a while before his eyes met mine. In a hoarse voice, he said, "Suyin, I don't want a divorce." I didn't say anything, nor did I avoid Zongza's gaze. His eyes were filled with hurt and pain, his fingers trembling slightly. Seeing my silence, he cautiously took another step forward, like a helpless young animal. But just as he reached out to take my hand, I pulled away. His movement froze, and his face was etched with a look of deep hurt. "Suyin, you said you wouldn't leave me. You lied, you tricked me. You clearly said it was fine for everyone to love Zongqing because you would only love me. You said your love for me was more than all of theirs combined. You said you would only love me. Suyin, have you forgotten everything?" His tears fell, one by one. His eyes were already red, but I just watched him silently. "I haven't forgotten, I did it in my past life." Zongza was the most pitiful child in the Zong family. He said no one loved him, so I gave him all my love. I didn't like to see him frown, so even at the dinner table, if I saw him frown because of an ingredient he didn't like, that item would never appear in any subsequent meal. I love it when he smiles, when he acts all adorable, so even if he wanted to see the first snowfall in June, I'd move heaven and earth to give him a night of snow watching atop fragrant hills. A long moment passed. I pulled a tissue from my pocket, gently wiping away the tear stains on his face. Zongza's eyes instantly lit up. He opened his mouth, about to say something. Thinking I had forgiven him, I said calmly, "Zongza, I didn't take my love back. You yourself gave it back to me. Some love is boundless. Even the deepest love may wither one day." Zongza's face turned deathly pale in an instant. Zongza still refused to give up. Barred from my office, he kept vigil outside my workplace every single day. Linwei tried to approach him a few times, but he always brushed her off. He used to be so gentle with her, but now there's not even a trace of that left. 11. Linwei even came to me, frantically asking, "Did you do something?" Zongza wasn't like this with me before. I just smiled. It's easy to be fearless when you're the one being favored. It's always the things we've lost or never had that linger most vividly in our minds. After Zongqing officially re-entered the public eye, the first thing he did was announce that he and Linwei had divorced 3 years ago. The second was to announce his upcoming marriage to me. The entertainment industry is rife with gossip, but if rumors are flying around about you, it just means you're not skilled enough or your connections aren't strong enough. So, at the welcome banquet that day, everyone who came to toast us congratulated Zongqing and me, saying, "A rare destiny for two families to renew their ties." Linwei, unable to bear the gossip, fled the country. Zongqing's mother wasn't surprised when she heard about it. It was as if she had expected it all along. It wasn't until later that I learned, even without Zongqing, the matriarch had intended for me to associate with promising youths from the collateral branches. In her eyes, I surpassed every member of the main Zong family. The Zong family must not fall. This was her vow to her late husband. That was also when I discovered the truth. The antique military saber worth 300 million was never meant for Zongqing after all. It was actually gifted by her late husband to someone else, technically a keepsake now. 6 months later, Zongqing and I got our marriage certificate. The wedding was absurdly extravagant. Zongqing invited half the capital. I was mortified. For a second marriage, he made sure the whole world knew. Zongqing took one look at my expression and lowered his eyes. "Ain, you're playing favorites. Why does Zongza get it and I don't?" That shut me right up. "Even if he needs comforting, you're the last person who should be doing it." He downed glass after glass, and the Zong family, fearing he'd cause a scene, kept a constant watch on him, but in the end, he did nothing. It was just the end. He gave me a wedding gift, 50% of the Zone Group's shares. I know why you married Zongqing. He can give you the Zone Group, and so can I. Suyin, please, come back. Okay, I shook my head, but I didn't refuse his gift. Next time we meet, you'll have to call me sister-in-law. After saying that, I left, leaving Zongzhe standing there, lost in thought. That night, when I returned to the bridal chamber, Zongqing had already been waiting for me for a long time. His eyes darkened when he saw the agreement in my hand. I pretended not to notice and walked straight past him. Suddenly, he grabbed my wrist. Ain, is there anything else you want? I raised an eyebrow, pulled my hand free, and continued walking towards the inner room. Zongqing clenched his fist. Suyin, you can't fight back. He instantly stopped speaking. His gaze falling on something in my hand, his expression slightly stunned. It was a prosthetic limb. I'd previously invested in a medical device company, and this is their latest product, model number 001. You will be its first and last master. As the last word faded, I smiled at him. You. Zongqing let out a soft breath and chuckled. Is this exclusively for me? Yes, it's only for you, I replied. The end. Story 2. My sister and I were adopted by the wealthiest family at the same time. One stayed home as a playmate for the heir, while the other was sent to the old estate to accompany the patriarch in his retirement. In our past life, my sister took one look at the young master's handsome, gentle demeanor and chose to stay without hesitation. But beneath that gentle facade, the heir was a sadistic psychopath. Within a few years, he had tortured my sister into becoming permanently disabled in both legs. With the old master's support, I studied abroad, entered the entertainment industry, and became the youngest Triple Crown actress, so my sister would rather drag me into the fire with her to be reborn. But sister, no matter how twisted the crown prince is, he's just a teenager. But the old master has lived most of his life as a shrewd man. 1. We were a step too late, both Zhoumi and I still got adopted. Zhoumi suddenly knelt before Elder Ji, tears and snot streaming down as she pleaded, Grandpa, please let me stay with you. You look so much like my grandfather. Seeing you feels just like seeing him. It's incredibly heartwarming. From now on, I'll cherish and respect you as if you were my own grandfather. Witnessing this scene, I realized that Zhoumi and I had been reborn together. On this day in our previous life, my sister Zhoumi and I were adopted by the wealthiest family. The current patriarch of the Ji family is this Elder Ji, whose branch of the family is sparse, now consisting only of him and his grandson. Elder Ji asked Zhoumi and me to choose whether to stay with him or with his grandson Ji Xinyuan. In the previous life, Zhoumi saw Ji Xinyuan was handsome and without hesitation, chose him first. I was left by old master Ji's side, but that Ji Xinyuan was already a pervert in his teens, and Zhoumi suffered all kinds of torment by his side. In the end, Zhoumi was even tortured into disability by Ji Xinyuan and had to use a wheelchair for life. Raised by Grandpa Ji, I became accomplished in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Growing into a radiant beauty, sent abroad for studies by Grandpa Ji, I later entered the entertainment industry. Upon returning, with the Ji family's connections and financial backing, my career soared unimpeded, ultimately making me a top-tier celebrity. Later, I broke into the film industry with a single movie, becoming the youngest Triple Crown actress, the pinnacle of glory to outsiders. Zhoumi and I lived lives as different as clouds and mud. Zhoumi thought so too, yet she bore no hatred toward Ji Xinyuan. Instead, her jealousy toward me festered into venom. On the night I won my third triple gold trophy, she set me ablaze. Her mobility impairment trapped her in the flames as well. Now that I've been reborn, Zhoumi's first thought was to steal my life. Actually, she didn't need to steal it. I'd hand it to her willingly. After all, no matter how twisted Ji Xinyuan is now, he's just a teenager. He's nowhere near as wild as Old Master Ji. 2. Old Master Ji nodded in satisfaction, a glint of shrewdness flashing imperceptibly in his eyes. Since you're so filial, you may follow me. Zhoumi got so excited that she immediately kowtowed 3 times to Grandpa Ji with loud thud sounds, then stood up and held his arm, saying sweetly, Grandpa, let me help you. Grandpa Ji nodded with a smile. Good child, good child. Then he casually pointed at me and said, you'll follow Xinyuan from now on. After speaking, he meaningfully reminded Ji Xinyuan, Xinyuan, take good care of your little sister, understand? Zhoumi pressed her lips together to suppress a smile and said to Ji Xinyuan, brother, I'm entrusting my younger sister to you from now on. You must take good care of her. She deliberately emphasized the words take good care. Then she glanced at me triumphantly and helped old Master G upstairs. I watched Zhou Mi's retreating figure coldly, slowly curling the corners of my lips. Then enjoy your brand new life to the fullest, but since it's the life you stole, make sure you never return it. A sinister voice suddenly whispered in my ear, haven't seen enough. My heart skipped a beat as I finally turned to look at Ji Tsinyuan. Though only 15 years old, this child genuinely appears eerie and terrifying. Unlike a normal person, this won't be easy to handle either. I absolutely cannot let my guard down. Taking a deep breath, I immediately flashed a sweet smile, ran up to him, and greeted him obediently. Hello, brother, my name is Zhou Sui, and from now on, I'll be your little sister. Ji Tsinyuan's icy gaze swept over me imperceptibly, those pitch-black eyes seemingly ignited by something. I clearly saw the burgeoning interest in his eyes. You want to be my little sister? Like hell I wanted to be his sister. What can I do about it? I'm just an 8-year-old kid who got adopted by this crazy family. There's no escape. Even if I killed him, I couldn't avoid the G family's retaliation, so for now, I'll just have to play the obedient little sister. I nodded and said, yeah, then I tilted my head, looking at him timidly yet hopefully. Brother, do you not like me? A faint arc curled at the corner of Ji Tsinyuan's lips as he slightly raised his brows and said with a light smile, like it, of course I do. I stepped forward and grabbed Ji Tsinyuan's arm, exclaiming excitedly, great. I have a brother now. I have a brother. Ji Tsinyuan's body stiffened abruptly, and the next second he suddenly pushed me away. His sinister gaze bore heavily into me as I fell to the ground, his thin lips parting to enunciate each word. Get out. From now on, don't touch me without my permission. Moody and unpredictable, truly a little freak, Zhou Mi stood by the second floor railing at some point, just watching me, seeing how Ji Tsinyuan abused me right after I arrived at this household. She seemed to relish it, until the butler behind her reminded her, Miss, it's getting late, you should wash up and go to bed. Alright, Zhou Mi responded, casting a smug glance at me before leaving. I then got up from the ground, walked over to Ji Tsinyuan, reached out my little hand, and stubbornly wrapped my arms around his. No, I just want to hold you. I want my brother. I knew that at this moment. I must look like an abandoned puppy, whimpering in the corner. Ji Tsinyuan's body stiffened again, only this time, he didn't push me away. 3. Although I wasn't by Ji Tsinyuan's side in my past life, I still understood him quite well. The reason this brat is so twisted is because he lacked love. His parents died young. Even when they were alive, they'd have small fights every 3 days and big fights every 5 days, because their marriage was purely a business arrangement without any real affection. Every time they fought, they threatened divorce, even saying in front of little Ji Tsinyuan, that's your son, you take him. He came out of your womb, you take him. I don't want him. Later, during another fight in front of Ji Tsinyuan, they came to blows, and his mother accidentally stabbed his father to death. In panic, his mother then committed suicide. Ji Tsinyuan was only 5 years old at the time. Looking at the two people lying in a pool of blood, he remained eerily calm. Later, he stayed by old Master Ji's side all along, and what decent person could that old pervert old Master Ji possibly raise? Before Ji Tsinyuan's father got married, he often indulged in orgies with old Master Ji. Threesomes and foursomes were regular occurrences. He didn't spend much time accompanying Ji Tsinyuan either, being too preoccupied with playing with little boys and girls, and pursuing immortality. Ji Tsinyuan grew up in such an environment until he was 15. If he's not a pervert, then who is? I've decided to try to reform him with love. Whether it works or not, I'll give it a try. What if it actually works? If this approach doesn't work, it's not too late to try another. Ji Tsinyuan moved out on his own just after turning 15. At that moment, he glanced at me with a dark gaze, looked at my small hand tightly clutching his arm, and without another word, strode forward. His legs were simply too long, already 8 meters tall at just 15 years old, while I wasn't even 3 meters and truly couldn't keep up with him. Big brother, I deliberately said in a childish voice, slow down. I can't keep up with you. Big brother, can you carry me? Ji Tsinyuan frowned slightly and glared at me impatiently. Shut up, if you keep making noise, I'll throw you into the sea to feed the sharks. I burst into tears with a loud wah. Big brother is mean. Woo woo. I don't want to feed the sharks. I'm scared it'll hurt. Woo woo. Crying while burrowing into Ji Tsinyuan's arms, smearing tears and snot all over him. To some extent, I was testing the limits of Ji Tsinyuan's patience with me. If he only scolds me verbally despite all this fuss, then I'll know my boundaries. Shut up. Jitsun Yuan pointed at me. If you cry one more time, I'll feed you to the sharks. I immediately shut my mouth tightly, looking at him with teary eyes, sobbing as my shoulders shook with each hiccup. Jitsun Yuan gritted his teeth and closed his eyes briefly, probably having never encountered such a troublesome brat like me before. Utterly exasperated, I watched him nervously. Please don't let him lose his temper so soon. Did I just go a bit too far? Jitsun Yuan suddenly bent down. Startled, I quickly covered my bottom. Brother, don't hit me, Jitsun Yuan. His expression was complex, his dark brows furrowed the entire time as he picked me up and strode out. Phew, that hurdle is finally passed. Should I be even bolder now? I wrapped my arms around Jitsun Yuan's neck. Brother, you're not mad at me anymore, so you won't throw me into the sea to feed the sharks. Brother, I promise I'll be good from now on. Please don't be angry with me or abandon me, okay? My sister doesn't want me anymore. You're all I have now. Jitsun Yuan took a deep breath, turned his head and gave me a disgusted look, but when he met my pitiful, teary-eyed gaze, he finally relented. I won't abandon you for now, but if you misbehave in the future, I'll still throw you into the sea to feed the sharks. I giggled and nuzzled my face against Jitsun Yuan's neck. I knew you couldn't bear to abandon me. Brother, you're so good to me. Jitsun Yuan, could you shut up? Okay, brother, I got it. Brother. Jitsun Yuan, he muttered through gritted teeth. I really want to sew your mouth shut. How much does he dislike my mouth? 4. When we arrived at Jitsun Yuan's house, he threw me into the room and left. Not only is this person perverted, but also antisocial. He doesn't allow servants to stay overnight here. He left a little kid like me here. How am I supposed to take care of myself? Good thing I'm not a child. After washing up, I went out wrapped in a towel. I looked everywhere but couldn't find any children's clothes. There weren't even any adult clothes. I'm really not cut out for raising kids. When I went out to find clothes, Jitsun Yuan's deep voice suddenly rang out, startling me. What are you doing? I took a deep breath silently, adjusted my emotions, then turned around and pouted. Brother, I've finished showering, but I don't have any clothes to wear. Ever since Jitsun Yuan saw me, his eyebrows have been permanently knitted together. The impatience at this moment was beyond measure. Why are you being so troublesome? I squatted down with my back to Jitsun Yuan, whining. Brother, do you hate me again? Why do you hate me? What exactly did I do wrong? Footsteps sounded behind me. Even the carpet couldn't muffle them, showing just how annoyed he was. Soon, Jitsun Yuan brought over a short-sleeved shirt and threw it at me. Put it on and get back to your room to sleep. Don't come out again tonight. Oh. I took the clothes off my head, stood up and nodded at him, then waved my hand. Good night, brother. Jitsun Yuan ignored me and walked away. I took the clothes back to the bedroom and locked the door. Sitting on the bed, I let out a slight sigh of relief. The first day has passed safely, hasn't it? But we still need to be cautious. It's better to sleep with one eye open. 5. The result of sleeping with one eye open is that I didn't sleep well all night. In fact, how many peaceful nights did I really have in my previous life, even during my time abroad? I was afraid that old man G would suddenly push open my door. Jomi didn't know that in my past life, I suffered from severe depression, so her fire was a release for me. Now everything can start anew. I must persevere, I must save myself. The sky outside was already bright. I was still wearing the clothes Jitsun Yuan gave me last night and went out barefoot. Going downstairs, I only saw an aunt busy in the kitchen. When she saw me, her face was full of kind smiles. This must be little Sui Sui. Right, I nodded. Yes, Auntie, where's my brother? He left early in the morning, but told me to come over early to cook for you. The breakfast was sumptuous, but I had little appetite, only took a few bites before putting down my chopsticks, pondering how to tell Jitsun Yuan when he returns that I want to go to school. Jitsun Yuan didn't come back until after 11 p.m., hearing noises at the bedroom door. I took a deep breath and mentally prepared myself before going out. Jitsun Yuan had already returned to his room, but I didn't see him when I entered. Faint sounds of running water came from the bathroom. I knew he was taking a shower, so I climbed onto his bed. When Jitsun Yuan came out and saw me on the bed, his face instantly darkened. Who told you to sleep here? Get out. I clutched the blanket and shrank back. But I'm scared, brother. I want to sleep with you. Just as he was about to lose his temper, I started sobbing boo-hoo. I could see profound helplessness mixed with murderous intent on Jitsun Yuan's face. What a complicated person indeed. He closed his eyes briefly, then after a long pause, squeezed out a national curse through gritted teeth. Feigning innocence, I asked, brother, What do you mean by what you said? Shut up, Jitsun Yuan suddenly approached, yanking the blanket off and hauling me up by the collar. I was about to burst into tears when he pointed a finger to silence me. He threw me back onto the bed. You're going to school tomorrow. No excuses. Is that all there is to it? That went way too smoothly. 6. It wasn't until a week after I started school that I finally saw Zhomi on campus. She was wearing an expensive princess dress, carrying a delicate little basket, and started placing gifts on each desk as soon as she entered the classroom. As she reached my desk, she gave me a challenging look, placed a small box on my table, and then walked away. After distributing all the gifts without missing anyone, Secretary Zhou walked back to the front and gracefully bowed to everyone. Hello everyone, my name is Zhomi. I'm the granddaughter of the wealthiest Ji family's patriarch, Mr. Ji. I look forward to your kindness and support in the future. This opening speech made me doubt whether Zhomi had truly been reborn. How could a soul in their 20s possibly say something so pretentious when facing a group of 8-year-olds? What's the point of showing off to a bunch of kids? A boy named Chen Junxian in the class pointed at Zhomi and asked, the richest man's surname is Ji, why is yours Zhou? Zhomi's expression faltered slightly, a flash of embarrassment crossing his brow, but the next second he raised his chin again. I was adopted by the richest family. What's your relationship with Zhou Sui? Someone pointed at me and asked, you two look so alike, and you both have the surname Zhou. Zhomi glanced at me, pursed her lips, and went downstairs without saying a word. The homeroom teacher then spoke up, alright, let's give a round of applause to welcome our new classmate, and then we'll begin the lesson. My deskmate leaned over and whispered to me, do you know the new classmate? I just nodded, but didn't mention that Zhomi is my fraternal twin sister. After class, Zhomi called me to a deserted corner of the playground and warned me, Zhou Sui, although we are sisters and were both adopted by the Ji family, you followed Jitsun Yuan while I stayed with Grandpa. Now that we don't even live together anymore, we should keep our distance from now on. What else could I say after she put it like that? I could only nod. Zhomi looked me up and down, then suddenly laughed. How was it? Not so pleasant with Jitsun Yuan, was it? Look at what you're wearing. What even is that? She twirled in front of me. Grandpa bought this for me. What do you think? Pretty, right? Seeing my silence, Zhomi lifted her chin again. Anyway, don't come to me for anything from now on. I won't help you. Since it's come to this, Zhou Sui, let's each bear our own burdens and suffer our own hardships. After saying that, she turned and walked toward the school building, muttering another sentence. Anyway, I'll never have to suffer again. It was evident that old man Ji hadn't made a move against her these past few days, but don't worry, it's coming soon. Sure enough, just a few days later, I suddenly received a message. Old Master Ji took Zhou Sui abroad for recuperation. In my previous life, it wasn't until I was in university that old Master Ji took me abroad. Why is it happening so soon this time? Could it really be that the information I leaked worked? Noticing my astonishment, Jitsun Yuan gave a cold smile. Upon closer look, that smile was utterly cruel. Ever since this elder sister of yours came to Grandpa's side, she's wanted everything. Seems she's really to the old man's taste. Don't worry. Foreign countries are open-minded places. The old man will keep her well fed. I could only pretend to look confused, but in my heart, I knew everything clearly. It was Secretary Zhou's prematurely exposed greedy nature that doomed her. Moreover, I also added fuel to the fire. 7. Time flies. The next time I saw Zhomi was when we were 18 years old. She came to my university as an exchange student. In the blink of an eye, it's been 10 years since we last saw each other. Her appearance hasn't changed much compared to her previous life, still looking as lifeless as ever. The only difference is she's dressed much more luxuriously than in her past life. In her previous life, she was tortured by that psychopath Jitsun Yuan, but in this life, her tormentor has become old Master Ji. Though the perpetrator has changed, the outcome remains the same in the end. Fate is written in the stars. We twin sisters died together, were reborn together, now attend the same university, and were even assigned to the same dorm room. When I opened the door and entered, she was sitting blankly on the edge of the bed. Hearing the noise, she startled like a frightened rabbit and jumped up abruptly. Seeing it was me, she seemed momentarily dazed but visibly relaxed. Oh, it's you. Zhomi slightly raised her chin, scanning me up and down. How have you been these years? Has that pervert Jitsun Yuan treated you well? I was just about to speak when a light scoff came from behind me. Jitsun Yuan walked over and stopped beside me, still carrying my suitcase in his hand. His indifferent gaze swept over Zhoumi as he casually asked, "When did I become a pervert?" "I don't recall that." When Zhoumi saw Jitsun Yuan, her already pale complexion turned even whiter. "Just as I have a shadow over old Master Ji, doesn't Zhoumi also have one over Jitsun Yuan?" She swallowed hard, her voice turning slightly hoarse. I was talking nonsense. I'm sorry." Jitsun Yuan didn't look at her again, nor did he say anything, but instead glanced around the dormitory before coming over to help me make the bed, started packing my luggage again, folding all my clothes neatly and putting them in the closet. After finishing, they reminded me, "I've left the driver for you. If you want to come home after class, just call me anytime, and I'll pick you up. If you don't need me to pick you up, have the driver take you to the company first." After saying that, they glanced around the dorm room. "Staying a few days to experience it is fine, but it's more convenient to live in the house off campus. I've finally managed to live like a normal person in this lifetime, and now I'm just like an ordinary college student. I don't want to move off campus. I want to live here." Jitsun Yuan nodded. "Alright, everything's settled. I'll take my leave first." He walked up to me and, just like when I was a child, gently ruffled my hair before giving Zhoumi a warning glance and leaving. I saw him off downstairs, and upon returning immediately met Zhoumi's incredulous gaze. She couldn't wait to ask me, "Why is he so good to you?" Zhoumi's breakdown came so quickly, which was beyond my expectation. I deliberately put on a matter-of-fact expression. "He's my brother. Isn't it natural for him to treat me well?" "Doesn't Grandpa G treat you well?" Zhoumi had a breakdown. She collapsed onto the edge of the bed, clutching her head as if trapped in unbearable agony, muttering incessantly under her breath, "This isn't right, it shouldn't be like this." Suddenly, she stood up again and immediately tried to tear off my clothes. I pushed her away forcefully. "What are you doing?" Zhoumi's face turned red, her head shaking continuously, the flesh on her face trembling. As if possessed, she reached out to me again. "Take off your clothes, let me see, show me." "I want to see." She was genuinely shocked. Worse than I was in my past life, old man G certainly didn't let me down. 8. I shoved Zhoumi away again, then swung my hand and slapped her hard across the face. "Are you awake now?" Zhoumi stood frozen in place, as if someone had flipped his off switch. I rushed up and grabbed her arm, feigning concern. Sister, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me like this." Zhoumi pushed me away forcefully, glaring at me with resentment, tears of unwillingness streaming from her eyes. Why does everyone treat you so well?" "Old Master G does. And Jitsun Yuan too. Just why do they treat me like this? Why?" "Oh, my dear sister, how could you possibly know? In my past life, I suffered greatly under old man G's torment. If you hadn't burned me to death, I would have continued living in that earthly hell, never knowing when I could have saved myself. Actually, in that past life, I did think about saving myself, calling the police or running away. Once I grew up, I could have done any of those things, but that damned pervert old man G seemed to see right through my thoughts. Don't even think about escaping or getting help from the police. Even if you don't consider whether your little arms could win against my strong legs, you should at least think about your own sister. Every move you make is under my watchful eye. Don't act recklessly, or it won't just be your life at stake. I'll make sure your sister joins you in the grave. Little Sway Sway, stay obediently by Grandpa's side and keep him company. Everything Grandpa has will be yours in the future. Hasn't Grandpa been good to you?" I lived under his oppression and psychological manipulation for a long time, and in the end, I simply gave in. Yet this very sister I wanted to protect ended up burning me to death out of jealousy. My past life was truly a joke. And isn't Zhoumi in this life just the same? I looked at her indifferently, sneering silently. "Sister, did Grandpa abuse you? What exactly did he do to you?" Zhoumi wiped away her tears in one swift motion, then suddenly smiled at me again. "I'm fine, really, I'm doing great. I've just been under a lot of pressure lately. You probably didn't know, but I'm going to be a big star." I nodded. "Congratulations to you then. The entertainment industry, that place with no moral bottom line, is certainly no good destination." Moreover, since it was old man G who sent her there, what would happen was already self-evident. Zhoumi smugly raised her chin. "Once I become a big star, everything will fall into place. If anyone bullies me again, my fans won't stand for it." As if sensing that a bright future was within reach, the flesh on Zhoumi's face began to tremble again. This time, I'm trembling with excitement. 9. Although it's already autumn, the weather is still very hot. In the morning, I looked at Zhoumi's long-sleeved pajamas and deliberately asked, Aren't you hot wearing long sleeves now? Actually, I was just casually asking. If I could provoke her, I would. If not, it wouldn't be any loss to me. But these words genuinely provoked Xiaomi. I'll wear whatever I like, what's it to you? I pretended to be angry. I was just showing concern. Why are you snapping at me? I got out of bed to wash up in the bathroom. Xiaomi's voice suddenly sounded behind me again. Zhou Sui, you're not doing well either, are you? I paused mid-step, turned to look at her, and pretended not to hear clearly. What did you say? Stop pretending. Xiaomi sneered coldly. Ji Qingyuan is the best at acting, and now even you become so good at it. Her gaze fell on my legs as she laughed. I advise you to make good use of your legs while you can still run and jump. Don't wait until you can't use them anymore to regret it. She must be talking about her past life self. I glanced down at my legs, muttered, "Don't talk nonsense," and entered the bathroom. Of course, Secretary Zhou wasn't spouting nonsense. She was just waiting for the day Ji Qingyuan would break my legs so she could laugh at my misfortune. But soon enough, my chance for retaliation came. 10. And I didn't have to wait long for this opportunity. After the military training ended, Ji Qingyuan came to pick me up at school. Grandfather said he wants us both to go back to the old house for a meal. Ji Qingyuan spoke calmly, his hands on the steering wheel and eyes fixed ahead, his tone devoid of fluctuation. I was going to see that person again. I glanced out the window and merely responded with a faint Ji Qingyuan seemed to glance at me sideways. Nervous? Or is it because you don't want to see Grandpa? I turned back and sat properly, about to speak when Ji Qingyuan added, if you don't want to see him, you don't have to. That old man isn't worth meeting anyway. Yeah. How could Ji Qingyuan not understand his grandfather? Although I haven't seen my grandfather in 10 years, but since he's your grandfather, he's my grandfather too. Let's meet him, I added after speaking. It's not like we'll see him every day. Ji Qingyuan, they say the wicked live 1,000 years, and it's true. Old man Ji is over 80 this year, and apart from some heart issues, he's quite healthy otherwise. Even the heart problem isn't a big deal for him. He's rich. And a single dose of special medicine can cost millions. Seems the money isn't wasted. Perhaps old man Ji has truly found the secret to immortality. I scoffed inwardly but put on an obedient expression, following Ji Qingyuan inside. Grandfather, Ji Qingyuan greeted in a flat, emotionless voice. I bowed slightly and said, hello, grandfather. Old Master Ji now held a cane in his hand. After looking me up and down, he burst into laughter. That look was all too familiar to me. Like a toad sticking out its tongue and licking all over me. It was truly disgusting. Ji Qingyuan took a couple of steps toward me, effectively blocking Old Master Ji's gaze from falling on me. Old Master Ji withdrew his gaze, nodded, and handed me a red envelope. Sui, these past few years, Grandpa has been abroad and hasn't seen you or given you any gifts. I've neglected you. This is Grandpa's little token of affection. Take it. Don't say Grandpa favors your sister over you. The sight of old man Ji's outstretched hand made me nauseous, and I hesitated to take it. Secretary Zhou came downstairs, still dressed in long sleeves and pants. Just accept the red envelope Grandpa gave you. You shouldn't reject an elder's kindness, that's immature. She walked over and urged me again, hurry up and take it. Whatever, who'd refuse free money? Am I an idiot? Just as I was about to reach out, a large hand snatched the red envelope from old man Ji's grasp first. He opened it, took out a bank card, and chuckled lightly. Seems like quite a sum, Grandpa. I'll accept this on Sui's behalf. After speaking, he reminded me, Sui, don't forget to thank Grandpa. I quickly nodded. Thank you, Grandpa. Old Master Ji gave a hum. After all, you weren't raised by my side, so you're distant with me. Unlike your sister. He patted the spot beside him. Xiaomi, come sit next to Grandpa. Xiaomi hesitated for just a second before sitting down beside him. Old man Ji's aged hand patted Xiaomi's thigh seemingly casually, but his eyes were on me. Sui, I don't mean to criticize, but you're not as likable as your sister. You haven't smiled once since entering. Looking at this old pervert's face, I really couldn't muster a smile. I even wanted to punch his teeth out, but I still tugged at the corner of my lips and laughed. Old Master Ji stood up with his cane. Qingyuan, come with me to the study. I have something to tell you. Ji Qingyuan said something to me before helping Old Master Ji upstairs. 11. Xiaomi stared coldly at the two figures' backs and, while they weren't looking, brushed her thigh as if wiping off something dirty. Then she took my hand again. Sui, it's been so many years since we last met as sisters. Why don't you stay tonight? I sneered inwardly. with acting skills like these, she still wants to break into the entertainment industry, the way she treated me at school before, and now suddenly changing her attitude. What else could it be if not a guilty conscience? I glanced upstairs. I don't know. I'll have to ask my brother. I can only stay if he agrees. I said it on purpose, and Jomi actually believed it. I knew it. What did you say? I asked. Jomi raised his eyebrows smugly. Nothing much. I'll go upstairs first to prepare your room. I followed him upstairs. When we reached the study door, I stopped and heard old Master G's low growl from inside. Bastard, bastard, now even you won't listen to me. Jitsun Yuan's cold voice followed immediately. Grandfather, you're at this age now. You've experienced all there is to enjoy. It's time to step back and cultivate your character. Old Master G's cane struck the ground with a dull thud. You must deliver that Zhou Sui to me tonight. My body stiffened, as if all my blood had reversed its flow, my hands clenching tightly. So Secretary Zhou had this scheme in mind too, but in the end, I was just angry and no longer afraid. All these years by Jitsun Yuan's side, I've done my fair share of brainwashing him. I've also frequently reminded him, both overtly and covertly, to seize control of the G family's power so he wouldn't have to be at the mercy of old Master G. Oh right. This lifetime's early overseas trip by old Master G was also my doing. It was I who spread the news that an immortality elixir had been developed on a foreign island. Moreover, old Master G was already aware of that island, so he naturally believed it without doubt. The study suddenly fell silent. Suddenly, old Master G's terrified voice rang out. You, what are you trying to do, Jitsun Yuan? Are you daring to lay hands on me? I am your grandfather. Jitsun Yuan's smile was icy cold, his voice seeming to emanate from the depths of hell, carrying bone-chilling indifference. Grandfather, you're getting old. As I've said, it's time for you to cultivate moral character and nourish your nature. Normally I don't care how you play around outside, and that Jomi has nothing to do with me. You can do whatever you want with him, but Zhou Sui is my bottom line. Consider this a warning. Don't touch her. Old Man G's aged voice trembled. You, what do you want? What can you possibly do to me? Jitsun Yuan let out an almost inaudible chuckle. I can't do much to you either, but you're old. Suddenly dying would be quite normal, don't you think? Jitsun Yuan, what are you doing? Old Man G let out a pained cry. Just joking. Don't take it seriously. Jitsun Yuan laughed lazily. I only heard this much before turning around and going downstairs. Soon Jomi came down too, excitedly telling me, I've already prepared the room for you, Sui Sui. You must stay tonight. She won't be staying. Jitsun Yuan's unhurried voice came from above. Jomi's body stiffened, reflexively letting go of my hand. Jitsun Yuan walked over to me in a few steps. Leaving now? I shook my head. After dinner, I should at least keep Grandpa company for a meal. Jitsun Yuan's deep gaze silently lingered on me for a moment before he nodded. 12. At the dining table, I became unusually talkative, as if I had endless things to say to old Master G. Old Man G even praised me for being sweet-tongued. Jitsun Yuan naturally noticed my odd behavior, but he didn't speak, just eating his food slowly and elegantly. I withdrew my peripheral gaze from him and continued talking to Old Man G. Grandpa, you might not know this, but sister is actually the school belle at our university. It's only been a few days since the semester started, and she already has a whole crowd of admirers. Secretary Zhou's hand loosened, and the chopsticks fell to the floor. Old Man G's smile froze at his lips, but the next second he laughed again, instructing the servant to pick up the chopsticks and handing Secretary Zhou a new pair. Be careful, he reminded. Secretary Zhou's voice trembled slightly. Grandpa, don't listen to Zhou Sui's nonsense. No boys are chasing me. How could there not be? I saw it myself. I chuckled. Are you shy in front of Grandpa? Sis, you're already 18, you can date now. Grandpa wouldn't stop you from having a relationship, would he? Jomi lowered her head to eat and softly commanded, shut up. As if suddenly remembering something, she raised her head again to look at Jitsun Yuan. Little sister has many admirers at school too. Brother, doesn't that bother you? Jitsun Yuan turned his head to look at me, then reached out to pat my head again. Your top priority now is studying. We'll talk after you graduate from university. I nodded. A trace of unwillingness flashed in Jomi's eyes, but when meeting Jitsun Yuan's gaze, her face paled and she quickly lowered her head. Her hand holding the chopsticks was trembling. After the meal, Jitsun Yuan took me away. He remained silent the entire way, not uttering a single word. Upon returning home, I was about to go straight upstairs when Jitsun Yuan's voice sounded behind me. Want to watch a good show? I turned around. What show? I genuinely had no idea about this. Come with me. Jitsun Yuan took my hand and led me upstairs to his study. He turned on the computer, and as soon as he opened a software, Secretary Zhou's heart-wrenching screams came through. Grandpa, I didn't do it. I really didn't. No. Grandpa, I beg you. It hurts. Grandpa, it hurts. Stop hitting me. My internal organs began to tremble, followed by my entire body. Suddenly it reached a critical point. I covered my ears tightly. No. Jitsun Yuan quickly turned it off and hugged me. Don't be afraid, Sui. It's all my fault. All my fault. I pushed him away, pounding on him with all my strength. Why did you make me listen to this? Jitsun Yuan, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate old Master Ji. Hate Zhoumi. I'll make sure they die horribly. 13. Jitsun Yuan just stood there, motionless, letting me vent. I don't know how long I hit him until my arms grew tired and I had no strength left. Only then did I stop. Feeling better now. Jitsun Yuan sighed and hugged me again, gently patting my back. I'll never show you such things again. I nodded. I just want to tell you, all men are no good. Look at how that old man treated your sister, and you should understand. Stay away from the old man from now on, unless it's me. No matter who calls you over, don't go. Do you hear me? I nodded again. Then I looked up at him. Does that mean you're no good either? Jitsun Yuan was amused by my words. What do you think? I studied him carefully. In my heart, Jitsun Yuan has never been a good person, but over all these years, though he was indeed very harsh to me at first, that only lasted for half a year. Later on, and up until now, he has truly treated me very well. Zhou Sui, I'm not a good person. Jitsun Yuan looked into my eyes, but I will strive to be a good brother. I will protect you and never let you come to any harm. I shook my head. You don't need to try. You're already a good brother. Jitsun Yuan let out a light laugh. Is your standard for a good brother really that low? I also laughed, feeling much more relaxed. Then hold yourself to higher standards. Jitsun Yuan pulled me out of the study. Stay away from that sister of yours too. I'll talk to your school about transferring her to another dorm. No. I grabbed Jitsun Yuan's hand and stopped. Jitsun Yuan turned around. Don't tell me you didn't notice tonight. She wanted to hand you over to that old bastard to be tortured, and you still consider her your sister. No, ever since I was 8, I haven't had a sister. Now, I only have you, but I need to keep an eye on her. It makes me feel safer, at worst. You can send someone to protect me. Jitsun Yuan rubbed my head again. Alright, you should hurry back to your room and get some rest early. 14. On Monday, Secretary Zhou didn't come, although I didn't see the specific scene that day. Hearing Secretary Zhou's heart-wrenching screams made it clear she was being severely tormented by that old pervert. It wasn't until half a month later that Secretary Zhou finally came to school. You look like you've lost another circle of weight. I pretended to be concerned and asked her, Sis, where have you been lately? You don't look too good. Zhoumi reflexively cupped her cheeks, then suddenly glared at me. None of your business. I shrugged. Just showing some concern for you. You'd better worry about yourself, unless you want someone to break your legs, Zhoumi said irritably before entering the bathroom. The dorm room still carried the heavy scent of her perfume. It stung the nose. It took quite a while before Zhoumi came out of the bathroom, got ready, and left for class. I also came to the classroom, but didn't sit with Zhoumi. The perfume she was wearing smelled absolutely terrible. Classmates started complaining. Zhoumi, why are you wearing such strong perfume? It's giving me a headache. Zhoumi immediately snapped back. What do you mean strong? If you can't afford high-end perfume, don't be jealous. Everyone kept their distance from her. But Zhoumi didn't seem to care, yet when we got back to the dorm, she complained to me about it. Those people in our class, none of them are particularly capable, but they sure have plenty of flaws. What's wrong with me wearing a little perfume? I told her honestly, your perfume is really too strong. It's practically stinging my nose. Zhoumi immediately rolled her eyes. You're just like them. Anyway, I won't be staying at school much longer. I'm about to enter the entertainment industry. 15. One evening a few days later, Zhoumi and I were each doing our own things in the dorm room. Zhoumi's phone suddenly rang. After hanging up the phone, she immediately ran over to show off to me. Zhou Sui, I'm going to enter the entertainment industry and become a big star. Grandpa wants me to go now to meet the director and producers. Bad memories from my past life suddenly flooded my mind. I nodded slowly. Then you should hurry and go. Zhoumi changed into her prettiest clothes, applied delicate makeup, and left happily. A thought suddenly occurred to me. so I immediately called the bodyguard Jitsun Yuan had assigned to me and instructed one of them to follow Secretary Zhou. Upon arriving at a private club, the bodyguard couldn't enter and called me. I called Jitsun Yuan again, asking him to figure something out. Jitsun Yuan understood what I intended to do. After a brief silence, he said, "Have the bodyguard return, I'll send someone in." I responded and hung up the phone. But until past midnight, I still hadn't received any message from Jitsun Yuan, so I fell asleep. When I woke up the next morning, Secretary Zhou still hadn't returned. After washing up, I called Jitsun Yuan. "Did you find anything last night?" Jitsun Yuan remained silent for a moment before saying, "Just that matter, you should be able to guess. Can you show me?" I asked. Jitsun Yuan didn't answer me, but instead asked, "Why do you want to see this?" With that, he hung up the phone directly. That afternoon I had no classes. Jitsun Yuan came to pick me up and took me to a house near the school. He played me a recording. It was filled with a man's lewd laughter. Then came the lewd and perverted voice of old man Ji. "Xiaomi, put in some effort and serve these gentlemen well." Xiaomi couldn't speak, only making muffled mmph sounds. Old man Ji said displeasedly, "How have I taught you usually? Don't you want to enter the entertainment industry?" Jitsun Yuan picked up his phone. "Alright. The rest isn't for your ears, I'll say it again. Stay away from that sister of yours and the old man." A brilliant idea suddenly struck me, and the corners of my lips curled up involuntarily. My chin suddenly tensed. Jitsun Yuan gripped my chin forcefully. It hurt so much. His dark eyes fixed on me as he warned in a low voice, "Behave yourself, understand, it hurts." I slapped his hand. "You're hurting me." Jitsun Yuan immediately released his grip and checked my chin. "So delicate, I didn't even use any strength." "How much more strength do you want to use? You've nearly crushed my jaw," I complained. He raised his hand and knocked on my head. "Behave, remember that. I don't know what's on your mind. But I know you don't like that sister of yours or that old man. If you have a problem with them, you can just tell me directly. I'll take care of them. But Zhou Sui, if I find out you're scheming behind my back, I'll really beat you up." I knew Jitsun Yuan was worried about me getting hurt, which is why he said that. I stepped forward and wrapped my arms around his neck. "Brother, you're the best." Jitsun Yuan silently looked at me for a while, then sighed. "It's because of you calling me brother that I feel like my whole life is tied up in this. Not worth it." I nodded and let go of him. "Fine, then you don't have to have me as your little sister. Don't talk nonsense." Jitsun Yuan's voice lowered slightly. He didn't like hearing that. 16, this time, Xiaomi quickly returned to school. In the dormitory, she excitedly told me, "I'm about to start filming soon. The script is finalized. And once the crew is assembled, we'll begin shooting immediately." "Congratulations." Xiaomi snorted proudly and went back into the bathroom. The scent of her perfume is getting stronger and stronger. Is it meant to mask the old man's smell from Grandpa G? Before the project started, Secretary Zhou was still attending classes normally, but these past few days, she's clearly been much more active than before, telling everyone she's about to join a film crew. Some classmates engage with her, while others naturally feel envious. The moment I entered the classroom, I saw a crowd surrounding Xiaomi. "Can you take me along? I don't ask for much, just being an extra would be fine. My lines are pretty good. Can you give me a couple of lines?" Xiaomi was thoroughly enjoying this feeling of being the center of attention. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Ah, what's that awful smell? Did someone poop? How disgusting." The crowd that had just gathered around Secretary Zhou instantly scattered. The others also packed up their things and ran out of the classroom together. I was about to run with everyone when I noticed Xiaomi standing completely still in place. Someone behind said. Xiaomi pulled up. That classroom was constantly ventilated, so we were moved to another one, but Xiaomi was nowhere to be found. After class in the afternoon, Jitsun Yuan came to pick me up. "Your sister is in the hospital again. Did you know?" I knew something must have happened to Xiaomi again, but I didn't know she was hospitalized. "Why?" Jitsun Yuan cleared his throat lightly. "Let's not talk about it anymore. I'm afraid it might disgust you." Recalling what happened in the classroom today and connecting it with everything Xiaomi went through, I looked it up online. Even if Jitsun Yuan didn't say it, I pretty much guessed 80 to 90% of it. Xiaomi probably has anal fistula, and her sphincter muscles can't function properly, which is why she suffers from incontinence. No wonder she always wears such strong perfume. It was to mask the smell, but obviously, this smell couldn't be concealed. After some thought, I asked Jitsun Yuan to take me to the hospital. He remained silent for a while, but still took me there. I entered Zhoumi's hospital room while he and the bodyguard stood guard outside. Sis, the moment I reached the bedside, Zhoumi started screaming like a madwoman. Jitsun Yuan came in, made sure I was okay, then left again. Get out. Zhoumi's face was deathly pale, like a vengeful ghost crawled out from hell, her expression filled with resentment and unwillingness. Did you come here to laugh at me? I sighed. Sis, don't be like this, I'm genuinely worried about you. Even though you can't become a big star anymore, you should still think about Grandpa. He's already old, with heart problems and taking medication daily. If something really happened to you and it affected him, what would Grandpa do? I deliberately emphasized words like big star, heart disease, and taking medication. I believed Zhoumi would understand. Sure enough, Secretary Zhou, who had been acting crazy on the bed, suddenly stopped and looked up at me, bursting into laughter. Jitsun Yuan came in again and dragged me out. Secretary Zhou was still laughing heartily. Jitsun Yuan dragged me all the way into the car and sternly asked, "What were you doing? Didn't I tell you? If you want to do something, tell me and I'll do it." Who allowed you to take such risks? He's been getting increasingly fierce lately. Isn't this because you're protecting me outside? I'm not even scared, so what are you afraid of? You, Jitsun Yuan glared at me, and after a long while, he turned away to look out the window instead, his voice somewhat distant. Sway, you're all I have left, little sister. I know he's afraid something might happen to me, but there are some things I want to do myself. I want to avenge myself. I went over and hugged him. Brother, I won't let anything happen to me. 17, Zhoumi didn't let me down either. She went straight home after being discharged from the hospital. The next day, I received news of old Master Ji's death. At that moment, the heavy burden in my heart finally lifted. Dead, that old pervert finally died. Good riddance. I didn't need anyone to tell me. I already knew. Old man Ji died of a heart attack. His heart couldn't bear that death-like ecstasy, and with no medicine left, he just stopped breathing. After old Master Ji's funeral, Secretary Zhou rushed to the company, demanding to convene a shareholders' meeting. All the shareholders attended. As a shareholder myself, I naturally had to be present. Zhoumi looked at me in surprise. What are you doing here? I smiled slightly. I'm a shareholder. Jitsun Yuan passed between Zhoumi and me, pulling me inside. Zhoumi walked to the front. Grandfather has passed away. He previously said that after his death, everything would be left to me, so from now on, I am the chairman of this company. Hearing this, the shareholders looked at each other and burst into laughter. Young lady, we're attending this meeting out of respect for you, but you can't just mess with us like this. Zhoumi grew anxious. Who's messing with you? Grandpa left a will. Director Zhang waved his hand with a smile. No need for the will. The shares your grandfather held have long been in President Ji's hands. There's no property left under his name. Zhoumi was stunned. What? Her face was full of disbelief. How is this possible? This can't be. Director Zhang continued. Now the largest shareholder of the company is President Ji, and the second largest shareholder is our Miss Zhou. He pointed at me. Zhoumi still refused to believe it. This can't be possible. She suddenly went mad, pointing at me with a shrill, piercing voice. Zhou Sui, why aren't your legs crippled yet? Jitsun Yuan, hurry up and cripple her legs. Do it now. Jitsun Yuan gave Zhoumi a cold glance and had someone throw her out. This shareholders meeting is a complete joke. I walked out together with Jitsun Yuan. There's surveillance in the old man's bedroom. Secretary Zhou deliberately took his medicine. Premeditated murder. I've called the police. He thought of something and chuckled faintly. Guess you can't take the civil service exam now, can you? Suddenly, a piercing engine roar sounded. Both Jitsun Yuan and I turned to look. Zhoumi was in the car, stomping on the accelerator, madly driving towards Jitsun Yuan and me. That ferocious face resembled an azure from hell. Her lips seemed to scream, drop dead. Everything happened in an instant. Before I could even react, Jitsun Yuan forcefully pushed me aside. Then with a bang, Jitsun Yuan was sent flying. Zhoumi's car crashed into the large pillar at the company entrance, died on the spot. 18. 2 days later, Jitsun Yuan finally woke up. The way he looked at me seemed like he had become a different person. Just as I was about to call out, he stopped me. He asked me a thought-provoking question. Did I make the right choice in this lifetime? My body suddenly froze. Jitsun Yuan has awakened memories from his past life. You already knew. Even lying on the hospital bed, Jitsun Yuan exuded an overwhelming presence. Zhou Sui, you really are such a good sister to me. My heart raced, and it took me a long moment to find my voice. I'll go find the doctor. Just as I reached the doorway, Jitsun Yuan's voice sounded again, "Zhou Sui." My footsteps halted as I slowly turned to meet his gaze. He looked at me, for a long, long while. "Did you ever consider me as your brother?" he asked. I just looked at him. Jitsun Yuan's gaze deepened, as if anticipating something, even for a moment. "Did you ever have genuine feelings for me?" I looked at the man on the bed. In the end, she lowered her eyes and murmured, I'm sorry, Jitsun Yuan, I've been using you all along. After all these years, exploiting you has become ingrained in my bones. All this time, there's only ever been myself in my heart. It seems I won't develop feelings for anyone else besides myself. I'll go find the doctor." The doctor told me that Jitsun Yuan is no longer in life-threatening danger, but still needs to remain hospitalized for observation. I nodded. "Then I'll go home to get some things for him." After packing up Jitsun Yuan's personal belongings, I returned to the hospital, but Jitsun Yuan's hospital bed was empty. My heart sank. Feeling hollow as well, a nurse's sigh came from behind. There was no life-threatening danger anymore. How could he suddenly pass away? I stood frozen in place, as if the entire world had lost connection with me in that instant. I don't know how long it had been, so long it felt like a century had passed. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind me, "Zhou Sui." My body stiffened as I slowly turned around. Jitsun Yuan came into view, leaning on a crutch and wearing a hospital gown. But why couldn't I see his face clearly? "Why are you crying?" he asked. I touched my cheek. It was wet. So I was crying after all. My throat felt both sour and burning. I opened my mouth, but it took a long moment before any sound came out. "I thought you were dead." Jitsun Yuan chuckled lightly. "Wouldn't that be better?" Tears completely overflowed at this moment. I could feel my lips trembling violently. My voice also choked with sobs. "No, that way, I wouldn't have a brother anymore. It's been 10 years. From now on, I'll cherish you as if you were my own grandfather." Yet Jitsun Yuan gradually permeated my world. "He is my brother. I don't care if he was a pervert in his past life, or if he's a good person now. He is, and will always be, just my brother." Jitsun Yuan walked over with his cane, using his other hand to wipe away my tears. "Don't cry. Big brother won't die. As long as you still need me, I'll always be by your side, protecting you." I nodded. Okay. Story 2. The nanny's daughter ran abroad while pregnant, and I covered all her living expenses. 5 years later, when she returned to the country, my husband, who was performing a heart transplant operation on me, slowly put down the scalpel with a low and hoarse voice. "Pause the operation. I'm going to pick her up." Due to the departure of the chief surgeon, I died on the operating table. Only after my death did I realize that they were the real male and female protagonists in the novel. And I was the cannon fodder supporting female character in the XX is on hold. I'm going to pick her up literature. They lived a happy and affectionate life on the bones of my body and at the cost of my whole family's lives. Fortunately, God has eyes, and I was reborn on the day the female protagonist ran away while pregnant. This time, I took decisive action immediately and cut off the financial lifeline of the male and female protagonists. What a joke. A gigolo and a green tea bitch actually have the nerve to stage the plot of the coquettish wife running away while pregnant and the domineering CEO's forced love in front of me. Pick. In this life, I will definitely make you two pick up poverty for the rest of your lives. Pause the operation. I'm going out for a while. Before losing consciousness, lying on the operating table, I heard my husband, Pei Xiaoyun, say these words. The nurse tried to stop him. "Dr. Pei. Miss Tang's operation can't be delayed." Pei Xiaoyun turned and walked out, saying coldly, "All she'll miss is just an operation. But Cece is returning to the country with the child. She's unfamiliar with the place. If I don't pick her up on time, she'll be scared." Without waiting for the nurse to say anything more, he opened the door and left. The last thing I saw was Pei Xiaoyun's tall and resolute back. I died during the heart transplant operation performed by my husband himself. After opening me up, he paused the operation to pick up Lin Cece, who had returned to the country. He was worried that she would be scared in a strange place, but he wasn't worried that I would die during the operation. On the verge of death, countless pieces of information flooded my mind. At that moment, I finally understood that my husband, Pei Xiaoyun, actually belonged to Lin Cece, because they were the male and female protagonists of this world, and I, Tang Shuyan, was just a cannon fodder supporting female character. No wonder such an extremely ridiculous thing as pausing the operation could happen to me. I laughed bitterly. In the last second before my consciousness dissipated, the overwhelming sense of absurdity briefly replaced my hatred. In the dark, a series of voices flashed through my mind. The board meeting is cancelled, I'm going to pick her up. The flight is cancelled, I'm going to pick her up. The operation is paused, I'm going to pick her up. I used to read such novels as entertainment, but now, I've become the biggest joke. Lynn CC was the daughter of my family's nanny. She had lived in my house since she was 5 years old, and I had always treated her like a younger sister. 5 years ago, at my engagement banquet with Pei Xiaoyun, she got lost and accidentally entered Pei Xiaoyun's room while he was drunk. And they had a relationship. Not long after, she found out that she was pregnant. She was just 18 years old at that time, and there were still 6 months left before the college entrance examination. But she gave up her studies because of the pregnancy. I asked her who the father of the child was, but she refused to say. I asked her to have an abortion and continue her studies, but she also refused. She just kept stroking her belly and crying silently. He's also a life. I can't be so heartless as to abort him. I want to give birth to him. She had always been kind, not even willing to step on an ant. I also really liked this rare quality in her. Since I couldn't persuade her, I stopped trying. When she and her mother begged me to send her abroad to have the baby, I agreed. I let her live in my house abroad, and I covered all the expenses for her and her son's food, clothing, housing, and transportation during the 5 years they were abroad. From my perspective, I was just doing my best to help the younger sister I recognized. It wasn't until I died that I realized I was just a part of the male and female protagonist's love drama. On the day the pregnant female protagonist returned to the country, my role came to an end. The intense unwillingness made it impossible for me to rest in peace. Unexpectedly, after a flash of white light, I was back on the day Lin CC ran away while pregnant. Sister Shuyan, thank you for coming to see me off. I'm about to leave. You must take good care of your health in the country. When I opened my eyes, I found myself at the airport, and in front of me was Lin CC, the daughter of my family's nanny and the female protagonist of this world. Now, she was about to board a plane to the United States, with a 3-month-old fetus in her belly. It's so good to be reborn at this time. Seeing that I didn't speak, Lin CC stepped forward and hugged me, saying sweetly, "Sister, I'll miss you." I resisted the urge to push her away, suppressed the surging nausea, and said in a low voice, "I'll miss you too, thinking about how to get rid of you, you ungrateful wretch." She took 2 steps back, pursed her lips, and said, "Sister, the person you mentioned will be waiting for me at the airport, right? I'm not familiar with the place, and I'm so afraid of getting lost." I forced a smile. "Of course, hurry up, don't miss your flight." "Of course not. This time I won't offer her any help." She left, looking back every few steps, as if she really couldn't bear to part with me, but I knew that what she really wanted to see wasn't me, but my fiancé, Pei Xiaoyun. Pei Xiaoyun was actually here too, secretly watching her from the shadows. As soon as I left, they would have an affectionate and reluctant to part hug at the airport, so I pretended to leave. When they started their performance, I turned on the camera. "Why are you going abroad? Didn't I tell you to wait for me? Once my family's company stabilizes, I'll divorce her, and then I'll marry you right away. Stay by my side until then." "Okay, Sister Shuyan has been so good to me. How could I steal her fiancé? But I can't control my heart. I can't help but want to be close to you. To avoid hurting Sister Shuyan, I have to leave you." "No, don't leave me. I can't bear to part with you." "I can't bear to part with you either, but I have to leave." "Brother Xiaoyun, come find me when you're free." Such nice words. If she really didn't want to betray me, how could she have slept with my fiancé behind my back and gotten pregnant? Getting lost, being drunk, an accident. Getting lost from the first floor of the restaurant to the 3rd floor guest room and accurately entering Pei Xiaoyun's room and having an accidental relationship with the unconscious Pei Xiaoyun. Bullshit. Sister Shuyan, I've already left the airport. Why isn't there anyone to pick me up? I can't get through to his phone either. Can you help me ask? When Lin CC called, I had just finished crying in my parents' arms. Although they didn't know what was wrong with me, they still tried their best to make me happy. Looking at the way they doted on me infinitely, I thought of their ending in the plot, and I felt even worse. My hands were shaking as I cried. So I originally wanted to hang up on Lin CC, but I accidentally answered the call. "Okay, I'll help you ask, just wait." I wasn't going to ask at all. I had already told the friend who was supposed to pick her up there not to go. Moreover, I had reported her bank card as lost. As for the house I arranged for her, I'm sorry, but it's temporarily unavailable due to some problems. As for what the problem is, don't ask. It's just that she can't live there. I don't want to be a big fool anymore. If she wants to go abroad while pregnant, she can figure out how to live on her own." After hanging up the phone, I immediately turned on mute and then continued to cry in my parents' arms. In my previous life, after I died, Pei Xiaoyun quickly married Lin Cixi. After my parents investigated, they found out that they had been having an affair for a long time. They went to confront Lin Cixi on my behalf. "Xu Yan treated you like a real younger sister. She gave you a share of everything good. You lived in our house for 13 years. And we never mistreated you. Why did you betray her? Why do you always call Pei Xiaoyun away whenever Xu Yan needs him the most? Do you know that because of you, Xu Yan died on the operating table?" Lin Cixi cried even more pitifully than them. "I'm so sorry. I really didn't expect this. I'm also very sad that Sister Xu Yan is gone. In the future, I'll take care of you on her behalf." As soon as she cried, Pei Xiaoyun felt sorry for her and stood in front of her to confront my parents. "What does her death have to do with Cixi? If you want to blame someone, blame yourselves. If it weren't for you forcing me to marry her, I wouldn't have been separated from Cixi for these 5 years. I don't love her at all. I only love Cixi. I'm telling you, if you come to find Cixi again, don't blame me for being rude to you." How could my parents be afraid of threats? Since I died so miserably, they just wanted to avenge me. However, before they could start planning, something unexpected happened. Confidential documents of my family's company were stolen, and the data was massively paralyzed. The company encountered successive problems. The Pei Corporation, which had been nurtured by my family, took the opportunity to acquire my family's company. Not long after, one of my parents died in a car accident after failing to be rescued, and the other committed suicide by jumping off a building. From then on, the male and female protagonists lived a happy life together. I can understand that the villainous supporting characters have tragic endings, but neither I nor my parents have ever done anything bad. Why should we be given such a miserable ending? Is it just because we are supporting characters? I'm not willing to accept this. Since I've been reborn, I won't live in vain. What male and female protagonists, I will definitely make them pay the price. Pei Xiaoyun took leave and went to the United States. I wasn't surprised at all. Lin Cixi couldn't get in touch with me, couldn't wait for the person to pick her up, and didn't know the address of my house in the United States. With her broken English, she wanted to find a hotel to stay in. But then she found that the bank card I gave her was frozen. She had no money, didn't understand the language, and was pregnant. After standing in the cold wind for several hours, she finally couldn't help but call Pei Xiaoyun, crying for help. Over the years, in places I didn't know about, she had always been like this, turning to Pei Xiaoyun for everything. When she was bullied at school, failed an exam, didn't bring an umbrella on a rainy day, had a stomachache during her period, or felt unwell with a fever or a cold, the first person she called was always Pei Xiaoyun. She would say things like, "I'm sorry for the trouble, I didn't mean to," but still keep troubling others, and Pei Xiaoyun fell for her tricks. This was the unique favor the female protagonist received. As long as the female protagonist asked, the male protagonist would immediately go to help her, no matter what he was doing. I called Lin Cixi back only after Pei Xiaoyun left. "The bank card, I don't know why there's a problem." "Don't worry, I'll check it right away. Transfer money, don't worry. I'll transfer it to you soon." "The house, don't worry, you can move in soon." As for how soon, she probably won't be able to wait until then before she dies. Just thinking about her being alone in the United States now, huddled in a corner feeling wronged and scared, waiting for her male protagonist to save her, makes me so happy that I can eat an extra half bowl of rice. What's more, it's exactly what I want for Pei Xiaoyun to go abroad to help her, because today, my family's nanny, Aunt Lin, who is also Lin Cixi's mother, will suddenly suffer a myocardial infarction. In my previous life, I sent her to the hospital in time and asked Pei Xiaoyun, the chief surgeon in cardiothoracic surgery, to perform the operation on her personally, which saved her life. I covered all her expenses during her hospitalization, hired a nurse for her, and visited her whenever I had time. But all my efforts only earned a lukewarm thank you from their mother-daughter duo. They were more grateful to Pei Xiaoyun. In the plot, Aunt Lin told Lin Cixi that the reason she got sick was that she was too tired from working in my house, saying that my family exploited her. She also said that fortunately, Pei Xiaoyun was there, otherwise her life would have been in danger. She told Lin Cixi to hold on to Pei Xiaoyun tightly, as long as she married Pei Xiaoyun with the help of the child. Their mother-daughter duo wouldn't have to work so hard anymore, after all. Lin Cece was the female protagonist. On the surface, she still had some sense of right and wrong. She told her mother that she and Pei Xiaoyun were true lovers and would never use anything other than their true feelings to scheme against him, but right after saying that, she immediately bought a famous brand watch for Pei Xiaoyun to thank him for saving her mother. Oh, and she used my money to do it, in this life, since Pei Xiaoyun was called away by her. Whether her mother can survive depends on her mother's own luck. Aunt Lin became a vegetable. When I told Lin Cece the news, she cried so pitifully. I deliberately told her the reason. As soon as I found out, I immediately sent Auntie to the hospital. I was trying to contact Pei Xiaoyun all the way. You know, he's the best cardiothoracic surgeon in the hospital. With him around, he could definitely save Auntie. But he took a leave of absence and kept ignoring my calls. I did my best to find the best doctor, but unfortunately, Cece, it's all my fault. If only I could have called Xiaoyun back. Lin Cece's crying paused for a moment, and she gasped in pain. I listened with great pleasure. When I called Pei Xiaoyun, she hung up on me and threw the phone aside. She sat on Pei Xiaoyun's lap and looked at him with teary eyes, begging him, just for today, can you only look at me and only listen to me? She succeeded. She should be happy, shouldn't she? As for Aunt Lin, to be honest, I wanted her to die. In the plot, after I died, my mother was heartbroken and cried every day while holding my photo. Aunt Lin deliberately showed off in front of my mother how good Lin Cece was to her. After all, it's all about fate. My daughter is kind, so she gets good rewards. She married a good man, gave birth to a son, and is loved by both her husband and her in-laws. She's so happy. Unlike your Shuyan, she must have done something immoral. She had poor health and couldn't have children, and she died at a young age. But in a way, her death was a good thing. At least it brought Cece and Xiaoyun together. They're true lovers and were wrongly delayed by Shuyan for several years. My mother was so angry that her whole body was shaking, and she told Lin's mother to get out of our house immediately. Lin's mother spat and continued to stab at my mother's heart. It's because of your temper that you couldn't give birth to a son. And the daughter you had also had a short life. Fine, I'll leave. I'll go to my son-in-law's house to enjoy a good life. You, on the other hand, can spend the rest of your life looking at your daughter's photo. She had worked as a nanny in my house for 20 years. When she was young, she was a victim of domestic violence. It was my mother who helped her find a lawyer to get a divorce, allowed her to live in our house with her daughter, provided the best educational resources for her daughter, and even didn't ask them to pay the tuition fees. My mother even planned to give her a retirement house after she retired. It's truly ridiculous and extremely hateful. Using her words, she can just lie in bed for the rest of her life in the future. Pei Xiaoyun has been in a bad mood recently, because Lin Cece is heartbroken and wants to calm down for a while. She even refuses to answer his calls. His beloved is in a foreign country, crying every day. How can he not feel? But Lin Cece doesn't want to see him. She can't accept that because of her, her mother became a vegetable indirectly, and she also blames Pei Xiaoyun for not being able to wake her mother up. But obviously, she blames me more. She said it's all because she was useless that her mother got sick from overwork. She said that if she had been by her mother's side, her mother wouldn't have had an accident. This is putting the blame for her mother's situation on me. So I proposed, then come back to the country. If you take care of her personally, maybe you can wake your mother up. She was taken aback and didn't respond. Of course she wouldn't. She is living in the house rented for her by Pei Xiaoyun abroad. And there is a special nanny to take care of her daily life. She doesn't have to do any work every day. She can just peacefully take care of her pregnancy and flirt with Pei Xiaoyun. With such a comfortable life, how could she be willing to come back to the country? What filial piety, indeed. Now the male and female protagonists are following the script of a deep and torturous love story. The female protagonist. Because of my willfulness to see you, I indirectly harmed my mother. I can't forgive myself. Let's not meet again in the future. The male protagonist. This isn't your fault. If you want to blame someone, blame the Tang family. Blame Tang Shuyan. If her family hadn't arranged such heavy work for Auntie, if they had discovered Auntie's discomfort earlier and sent her to the hospital earlier, if Tang Shuyan had arranged everything well for you abroad, none of this would have happened. The female protagonist. But if I hadn't asked you to come here to accompany me, maybe you could have saved my mother. It's my fault. All my fault. The male protagonist. No, it's not your fault. If Tang Shuyan had arranged everything well abroad, you wouldn't have looked for me. It's all her fault, don't blame yourself. If she really felt guilty, where would she find the time to say all these nonsense about being sentimental? It's more important to come back to the country and stay by her mother's side. But Pei Xiaoyun falls for this. Every day, he accompanies Lin Cece on the phone and shares her sadness. I'm happy to see them unhappy. Whenever I have time, I go to the hospital to bother Pei Xiaoyun. I watch him suffer and have to divide his attention to deal with me. Yet he can't show his impatience. His tightly furrowed brows and the eyes that can hardly contain his annoyance bring me great pleasure. After pestering him for a while and forcing him to buy me several expensive gifts, successfully making him look haggard and lose 6 pounds, I stopped for the time being. Mainly, another important plot is about to come. I have to prepare in advance and don't have time to laugh at him. A special patient came to the hospital. His name is Qin Shen. Speaking of which, this person is indirectly related to my death in my previous life. I have congenital heart disease, and it's quite serious. In the later stage, if I don't have a heart transplant, I won't be able to survive. I finally waited for a heart donation. Just when I was about to have the operation, someone forcefully took away the opportunity, and that person was Qin Shen. Of course, he was able to get that heart with the help of the male and female protagonists. The reason was that Pei Xiaoyun told Lin Cece that I was about to have the operation. Lin Cece found out that her classmate Qin Shen also needed a heart transplant operation and had the same blood type match as me. So, she said the following words. Sister Shuyan's family is so rich, even if she doesn't have the operation for the time being, she can still be taken care of well and won't be in life-threatening danger. But Qin Shen is different. His family borrowed from all their relatives to scrape together the operation expenses, and he doesn't have a resident doctor to take care of him. If he can't have the operation in time, he is in danger of losing his life at any moment. He's really pitiful. If I were Sister Shuyan, I would definitely give this operation opportunity to Qin Shen. Pei Xiaoyun sighed at her kindness. If only Shuyan were half as kind as you. Lin Cece came up with an idea. She gave my information to Qin Shen and asked him to wait outside my hospital room first. When I came out of the room, Qin Shen accidentally spilled peanut powder all over my face and body. I'm severely allergic to peanuts, and immediately, I had complications such as difficulty breathing and being on the verge of shock. In this situation, I couldn't have the heart transplant operation. In this way, I missed the first suitable operation opportunity and almost lost my life. Under the planning of Pei Xiaoyun and Lin Cece, Qin Shen successfully had the heart transplant operation. After that, Qin Shen regarded Lin Cece as his savior and became her most loyal admirer. In this life, on the pretext of not being ready yet, I gave up this operation opportunity in advance. So tomorrow is the day for Qin Shen to have the operation. I'm really looking forward to it. Before Pei Xiaoyun entered the operating room, I did 2 things. The first thing was to take photos of the gifts Pei Xiaoyun gave me before and send them to Lin Cece. I told her in a happy tone that Pei Xiaoyun and I were getting married soon. The second thing was to tell Pei Xiaoyun that Lin Cece wasn't feeling well in her stomach. Then I went to the adjacent department for a routine physical examination. When I finished the examination and came out, I heard loud crying. It was Qin Shen's family. His operation had failed. Actually, it couldn't really be called a failure. Just like in my previous life, after being given anesthesia and having his abdomen opened, Pei Xiaoyun, as the chief surgeon, paused the operation for love and ran away. The subsequent doctors couldn't immediately take over, and the patient had massive bleeding and couldn't be saved. And I was in good physical condition and could receive the operation. The hospital immediately began to persuade me to accept the heart transplant. Otherwise, this heart would be wasted. I agreed without hesitation. These days, I have been doing preoperative preparations and adjusting my physical condition, all for this day. In fact, I know that having the operation is risky, but I can only take a gamble. I know my physical condition. The longer I delay, the more dangerous it will be. Moreover, since God gave me a chance to be reborn, I don't believe He will take it back so soon. Before I entered the operating room, my parents came. They held my hands and told me not to be afraid. Your father and I will be waiting outside for you. My dear daughter, you are about to welcome your new life. I held their hands tightly. Dad, Mom, with you here, I'm not afraid at all. When I fell into a coma, I felt very at ease. My parents had already made full preparations for this day. The doctor was an expert, not some protagonist, and wouldn't pause the operation halfway for any reason. I didn't sink into darkness but found myself in a white world. In the air in front of me, my past life was being played out. I was weak, pale, but cheerful, with excellent grades and good popularity. I learned to play the piano, the cello, and draw, and I did quite well in all of them. In my short 27 years of life, I held a concert and an individual art exhibition. I inherited my parents' business acumen in my genes and also had a talent for investment. It can be said that if I weren't a supporting female character, if I didn't need to set off the protagonist's life, if I hadn't met Pei Xiaoyun and Lin Cixi, my life might have been short. But I would definitely have been very fulfilling and happy, instead of being loved falsely, being deceived sincerely, being stabbed in the back by a friend, being betrayed by a lover, and dying miserably on the operating table. I think maybe God also thinks that someone as bright as me shouldn't have lived such a dark life. That's why I came back to life and even knew the plot of this world in advance. I think the meaning of my rebirth is to change the fate of myself and my family. It must be like this. Shu Yan, can you hear your father and mother's voices? I can hear them. This is a day of great joy for everyone. My operation was a complete success. I'm very happy, and so are my parents. When they were happy, they directly invested 20 million yuan in the hospital, and the hospital was also happy. Lin Cixi is also happy because she found that although she and Pei Xiaoyun had a torturous love affair for a while, she is still the most important woman in Pei Xiaoyun's heart. As long as she says a word, Pei Xiaoyun will still go to her side without hesitation. Pei Xiaoyun is equally happy, because the woman he loves has finally forgiven him. He no longer has to pretend to be affectionate in front of me and can embrace the woman he loves deeply and be his true self. But, how could I let them be happy for too long, if they are all well? How can that be allowed? So, Pei Xiaoyun received 2 phone calls. You've been fired, you're being sued. There are also a few surprises that he doesn't need to know about personally, which I prepared for him. The hot searches are as follows. Genius doctor pauses operation to meet his girlfriend overseas. Pei Xiaoyun, a cardiothoracic surgeon at XX hospital, disregards human life. Pausing the operation midway results in the patient's death. Is it the loss of humanity or the degeneration of morality? Then Qin Shen's family did a live broadcast. In the live broadcast room, they accused Pei Xiaoyun of ignoring their son's life and pausing the operation to go abroad to meet his girlfriend, and they made the whole thing very clear. It's not in vain that I prepared the manuscript for them in advance. What a joke. I experienced it personally, so who can write it with more genuine feelings than me? The victim's family sued Pei Xiaoyun for intentional homicide, and the lawyer I hired in advance will handle this lawsuit for them for free. Then, the hospital where Pei Xiaoyun works issued a dismissal statement, a condemnation statement, and a lawsuit document. The general idea is that Pei Xiaoyun is the one who did such heartless things. After the hospital found out, it tried its best to rescue the patient but failed. The hospital decided to fire this doctor who lacks medical ethics and suggested revoking his practicing qualification certificate so that such a person can't continue to harm society. The hospital will fully cooperate with the victim's family to safeguard their rights and interests and will file a lawsuit against Pei Xiaoyun for his dereliction of duty, damage to the hospital's reputation, and causing a serious medical accident. In short, Pei Xiaoyun's name became famous overnight. Netizens from all walks of life who uphold justice began to take action. These days, any uncivilized trash can become a doctor. Pause the operation, go to meet his girlfriend, damn it. Does he think he's the male protagonist of a novel? Such a doctor doesn't deserve to be a human being. What's the difference between pausing the operation and disregarding human life? Wait, hasn't anyone noticed to go abroad to meet his girlfriend? But the daughter of the Fenghai group had the operation in the country, didn't she? Becoming a doctor was Pei Xiaoyun's dream. His family actually also has a group company. After all, he is the male protagonist, and the company is of a considerable size. It's just that the author set some difficulties for his family's company to increase the drama and plot conflict. He got engaged to me because he wanted to seek the help of my family. At the current time point, his family's company is indeed being sustained by my family. As soon as this medical accident happened, the stock market of his family's already precarious company became even more unstable and was on the verge of collapse at any moment. So, without having time to get intimate with Lin Cixi, Pei Xiaoyun flew back in a hurry again. The first thing he did was to come to me. There are 2 reasons for this. First, I used to be infatuated with him and would help him unconditionally. It had always been like this before. My family's company is a leading company in the country. If my parents speak up for him, others will more or less give them some face. He really has high hopes, but he doesn't know that I guided and brought all this about. He pretended to be affectionate in front of me for so long. So of course I have to pretend a bit too. Xiaoyun, don't worry. I will definitely ask mom and dad to help you. Moreover, I believe you're not that kind of person. Your dream is to save lives. So how could you pause the operation halfway and go abroad to meet some girlfriend? They must be spreading rumors. As your fiancé, don't I know you? Just wait. I'll explain it for you right away. He opened his mouth several times but couldn't say anything. His face just turned slightly pale. It doesn't matter. I'll make his face even paler later. I acted as if I was deeply in love and posted a status without thinking. This is simply nonsense. This is spreading rumors. As Dr. Pei's fiancé, I didn't go abroad. So how can it be said that he went abroad to meet me? Because the person he went abroad to meet wasn't me. He loves his job so much that he would never do something like leaving the patient during the operation. Don't talk nonsense without evidence. Hurry up and show the evidence, as long as he's wronged. I will firmly stand by his side and support him. If he's not wronged, I'll make him pay. The powerful netizens, the hired water army, didn't let me down. In less than 10 minutes, they successively released the evidence that slapped me in the face. Videos of Pei Xiaoyun hugging and kissing Lin Cece, who was pregnant, in the United States, as well as a censored video of them being intimate in the living room. And the video I took before of them hugging at the airport, which I specifically muted, because otherwise, Lin Cece's words would sound a bit more reasonable in terms of values, and I can't whitewash her. Your fiancé is about to have a child with another woman, and you're still kept in the dark. Then came the video of the whole process of Pei Xiaoyun pausing the operation and leaving. Sigh. I'm actually happy to be slapped in the face for the first time. Someone tagged me and asked. He's not wronged, so will you still support him? Support him? No way. I immediately broke off the engagement with him, and my parents also withdrew the investment in his family's company. Businessmen are very shrewd. Seeing that my family had given up on the Pei family, they naturally wouldn't cooperate with them anymore. Those who had been eyeing the Pei family began to stir again after confirming that my family wouldn't help them. Lin Cece called me to explain that what happened between her and Pei Xiaoyun was just an accident. He was drunk and mistook me for you. That's why that happened. Sister Xu Yan, whether you believe it or not, I never meant to betray you or compete with you. That's why I came abroad alone as soon as I found out I was pregnant. As long as you and brother Xiaoyun are happy, I'd rather never come back to the country. Look. She's treating me like a fool, but I still have use for her. So I'll play along with her for now. I gave a look to the new nanny in the house, and she cooperatively shouted, Miss, young Master Pei and his parents will arrive in half an hour. They said they want to discuss your wedding. I curled my lips into a malicious smile. Cece, thank you for telling me this. Since that's the case, I'll forgive him this once. When I marry him, I'll raise your child for you. That's it, he's coming soon. And I'm going to see him, before she could say anything. I hung up the phone. Lin Cece, don't let me down. Pei Xiaoyun's parents repeatedly pressured him to come to our house to apologize, aiming to save their family's company by maintaining our engagement. Since my parents were firm in their stance and wouldn't give in, their bottom line kept getting lower and lower. First, they said they could give me 15% of their family's shares. Then they suggested that Lin Cece could give up the child custody and leave while the child stayed with us. Later, they were even willing to let Pei Xiaoyun become a live-in son-in-law. Pei Xiaoyun was very good at pretending. He looked extremely regretful, saying the same things as Lin Cece and begging for my forgiveness. Last week, I told him I needed some time to think and made an appointment to meet him today, mainly because something was going to happen today. After hanging up the phone with Lin Cece, I went to the living room to play the piano, with no intention of dressing up at all. Ode to Joy really lived up to its name. Half an hour later, I received a message from Pei Xiaoyun. Xu Yan, Cece isn't feeling well in her stomach. I'm worried something might happen to her, so I have to go and check on her. Don't worry, I'm only going to see her because of the child. Since you can't have children, this child will be ours in the future. I ignored him and continued playing Ode to Joy. More than 30 minutes later, I received a call from the private detective I hired. Miss Tang, after Pei Xiaoyun received a call and left on the way, his father, Pei Donghai, got so angry that his asthma flared up. He passed away before the ambulance arrived. I made a sound and asked, what about his mother? She fainted and has been sent to the hospital. Wow, that's so pitiful. But it's nothing compared to what I went through in my previous life. In my previous life, knowing that I couldn't have children, they said they didn't mind to my face, but behind my back, they constantly made sarcastic remarks. Knowing that I couldn't stand the sight of blood, they often came to our house and ordered the nanny to kill chickens in front of me, saying things like hens that don't lay eggs deserve to die and are only good for making soup. Pei Xiaoyun's mother even advised me, it's not that you can't have children, there's just some risk. Who doesn't face risks when giving birth? Dying to have a child would be worth it. Pei Xiaoyun's father directly told him, just find a woman outside to have a child, she can't say anything. Besides, how long can she live with that weak body of hers? Have a child and raise it outside first, then bring it back when she's gone. We can't let our family line end. When they learned that Lin Cece had given birth to a healthy grandson for them, and that he was a child prodigy, they eagerly hoped that I would die soon so they could bring their grandson home. Once, on my birthday, I hoped Pei Xiaoyun would spend it with me. But he suddenly went abroad again, leaving me alone at home. Maybe because of crying, my heart disease flared up. Coincidentally, Pei Xiaoyun's parents were there. I thought I was saved, but they just stood there and watched, even deliberately kicking away the phone I was going to use to call for help. If it hadn't been for a kind-hearted nanny who secretly called 120, I would have died long ago. Sadly, that brave and kind nanny never appeared again. I'm much kinder than them. I didn't deliberately try to kill them. I just knew that Pei Xiaoyun's father had asthma and that he attached great importance to today, desperately hoping to finalize my engagement with Pei Xiaoyun. So when Pei Xiaoyun went to see Lin Cece regardless of the overall situation, he must have been extremely angry. Anger can easily trigger an asthma attack, and his medicine was in Pei Xiaoyun's pocket. Pei Xiaoyun was in such a hurry to see Lin Cece that he forgot to take it out. It's all Pei Xiaoyun's fault, isn't it? I specially went to the hospital to offer my condolences to Pei Xiaoyun's mother. While she was grieving, I told her, Auntie, let's never mention my marriage with Pei Xiaoyun again. I've seen clearly that he and Lin Cece are true lovers. I'll let them be together. Then, with a seemingly sad expression, I turned and left as she clutched her chest, on the verge of fainting. Pei Xiaoyun's mother had a bit of an Oedipus complex in the original plot. She was even jealous of Lin Cece for vying for Pei Xiaoyun's attention. Now that she had lost her husband and her son was neglecting both his father's death and the family company for a woman, how could she tolerate it? Of course she couldn't. Next, let them sort things out among themselves for a while. On the day the Pei Corporation declared bankruptcy, Pei Xiaoyun's mother beat her chest in grief, fainted several times, and was sent to the hospital. Pei Xiaoyun, who used to be a doctor and never cared about the family business, was now overwhelmed with handling the aftermath, and blisters had formed at the corners of his mouth. However, this was not the end. With her husband gone, Pei Xiaoyun's mother now only had her son left. She was like a frightened bird, waking up every day and demanding to see Pei Xiaoyun, insisting that he stay by her side. Since she clung to Pei Xiaoyun, Lin Cece wasn't happy. She kept calling, saying she had a stomachache or a headache, demanding that Pei Xiaoyun go and accompany her. But this time, she didn't succeed. It wasn't that Pei Xiaoyun didn't want to go, it was that he simply couldn't. Over the past 6 months, he had lost his job, been sued by Qin Shen's family, and had to pay a large sum of money in compensation. Then his father died, and the company went bankrupt. One thing after another happened, leaving him with no money and no energy to travel abroad. More importantly, he could no longer afford Lin Cece's expenses abroad. So, instead of him going abroad, Lin Cece returned to the country with her pregnant belly, looking dejected. On the first day she was back, Pei Xiaoyun left his sick mother to pick up Lin Cece, in a fit of anger. As soon as Lin Cece entered the house, Pei Xiaoyun's mother grabbed her hair and slapped her several times. You little slut, it's all your fault. If it weren't for you, our family wouldn't be in this mess. What a jinx you are. How dare you enter my house? Get out. During the scuffle, Lin Cece fell down. This fall led to an early birth. In the previous life, Pei Heshuan, that child prodigy who could read without going to school, master the world's most advanced hacking techniques without ever learning about computers, was supposed to be born in the best hospital in the United States and receive the best care. Pei Heshuan, who at the age of 5 alone was able to steal confidential documents from my family, tamper with important data of my family's company, causing the company to collapse within a short time. The one who cut off the power supply in my father's hospital room when my father was being rescued after a car accident, resulting in the failure of the rescue. The one who used hacking techniques to project the images of my father and me in front of my mother late at night, driving her to commit suicide by jumping off a building out of collapse. He was born on an ordinary day, 2 months before his due date, in an ambulance. I had been waiting for him, this devil, so. Although I had been avoiding Pei Xiaoyun's mother, we accidentally met at the hospital. As soon as she saw me, she grabbed my hand and poured out all her grievances, saying that I was the only daughter-in-law she recognized in her heart. I deliberately said some ambiguous things, making her think that I still had feelings for Pei Xiaoyun. Her eyes lit up, and she promised that she would never let Lin Cece enter their house. Good child. Wait for Xiaoyun a bit longer. I can tell that he still has feelings for you. Wait until I deal with that little slut, and I'll welcome you into our house in grand style. I neither agreed nor refused, remaining non-committal. Then, through the mouth of a doctor, I let her know that my health had improved greatly and that there was no problem with me having children. Her expression immediately became complicated. In her eyes now, Lin Cece was clearly a curse, causing her son to lose his job, break off the engagement with me, leading to the bankruptcy of their family company, and even causing her husband's death. Most importantly, she was always competing with her for her son's attention. Even though Lin Cece had given birth to a grandson for her, it couldn't reconcile their relationship. But I was different. I was the daughter of the richest man. It seemed that I still had feelings for her son, and the only issue she had with me before, my health, was now resolved. So, what would she do? I lowered myself to become an option, not because I really wanted to be chosen, but simply because I didn't want them to have an easy life. It turned out that the fighting power of the female protagonist's mother-in-law was on par with that of the female protagonist. In the following 2 months, I received the latest gossip about the Pei family from the private detective every day. Lin Cece refused to live with Pei Xiaoyun's mother, so they rented separate houses. Lin Cece lived with Pei Xiaoyun, while Pei Xiaoyun's mother lived with the child. Pei Xiaoyun went out to work to support the family, and the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law each used their own methods, calling Pei Xiaoyun every day with various excuses, asking him to come home and accompany them, trying to prove their importance in his heart. When Pei Xiaoyun was with Lin Cece, his mother would feel unhappy and always disrupt their private time. If Pei Xiaoyun was with his mother, Lin Cece would either be sick or sad, claiming that she couldn't get better without him. In 2 months, Pei Xiaoyun changed more than a dozen jobs, all of which he was fired from. No company could afford an employee who left at will like him. After 2 tormenting months, Lin Cece's birthday arrived. To avoid being disturbed by Pei Xiaoyun's mother, she begged Pei Xiaoyun to take her out on a date before dawn. When Pei Xiaoyun's mother went to their place with the child but couldn't find them, she started calling Pei Xiaoyun, saying that the child was ill and asking him to come back immediately. Lin Cece finally couldn't hold back and exposed Pei Xiaoyun's mother. You always use the same excuses. Either you're not feeling well or Hshuan is. When is it ever real? You're so old. Can't you take good care of a child? We just want some private space. Why do you have to keep interfering? When Pei Xiaoyun's mother heard her speak like this, she immediately started arguing with her. You little bitch, how dare you talk to me like that? Weren't you the one who used these tricks to seduce my son in the first place? Stop pretending. Lin Cece couldn't stand being scolded, so she started crying, and when she cried, Pei Xiaoyun would comfort her, naturally forgetting about his mother and the child. Many things happened due to countless coincidences. Because Pei Hshuan was born prematurely, his health had always been poor. Pei Xiaoyun's mother didn't take good care of him, making him even weaker and more prone to illness than ordinary children. It was cold and rainy that day. Pei Xiaoyun's mother went out early in the morning with the child to find Lin Cece. When she couldn't find them and had to turn back, she got caught in the rain. Still angry, she was even less willing to take care of the child. She left the child in bed and went out to chat with others. And on that day, the glass in the room where Hshuan was sleeping suddenly shattered. What would happen to a child who was already weak, having been caught in the rain and exposed to the wind? When Pei Xiaoyun's mother came back, she found that Hshuan's face was flushed and he was too weak to cry. She called Pei Xiaoyun again, saying that the child had a fever and wouldn't stop crying. Pei Xiaoyun was still with Lin Cece and didn't come back. They didn't take the child to the hospital until they returned home after their date. When Pei Xiaoyun came to my house to borrow money, I was just about to leave with my bag, planning to go on a trip with my girlfriends. He looked at the million-yuan bag in my hand, and his face twisted for a moment. Shu Yan, just lend me 1 million yuan. I'll definitely pay you back in the future. I took a few steps back and then waved for the security guards to push him away. What are you talking about? You don't even have a job. How are you going to pay me back? Get out of here. Don't delay my trip. When he saw that I was really about to leave, he panicked immediately. Shuyen, I haven't married Lin Cece yet. I heard from my mother that you still have feelings for me. As long as you lend me 1 million yuan, I can break up with Lin Cece and get back together with you. He put on an expression of making a difficult decision. This 1 million yuan can be considered as living expenses for them. I won't see them again in the future. I couldn't help but laugh. Looking at him coldly, I said, even if you're trying to sell yourself, you should consider your own worth. I don't recycle garbage. I won't lend you money. And I don't want you. You make me sick. Leave me alone. As I got into the car, he was still in disbelief. How could this be? You should still like me. The headquarters of my family's company moved to a new city. We downsized several business sectors, got rid of some corrupt employees, and also opened up new business channels. My parents and I bought a new villa and settled in the new city. Everything was moving in a better direction, except that my parents started looking for new potential partners for me again. We had completely broken away from the original plot and were no longer supporting characters in someone else's story. Now, it was the male and female protagonists who were trapped in the plot. It all started 3 years ago. Pei Xiaoyun was reborn, or rather, he regained the memories of his previous life. After recalling his past life, he didn't hesitate to kick Lin Cece out, abandoning even the child, and then kept pestering me, admitting his mistakes and begging for forgiveness. I was extremely annoyed. I casually set a trap and sent him to prison. Pei Xiaoyun's mother came to see me several times. Each time she failed to meet me and was chased away. Before long, she fell seriously ill and died alone in a rented room. Then, Lin Cece unexpectedly also awakened to the plot. She even dared to provoke me, saying that her son would become a genius hacker in the future and that she could live a good life even without Pei Xiaoyun. She never even considered that if the child was truly okay, why would Pei Xiaoyun, who knew the plot, give him up? It was because Pei Xiaoyun, as a doctor, had already seen that the child wouldn't become the genius child in the original plot, living in such a beautiful fantasy. She waited until Pei Heshuan turned 3 years old, only to find that the child was different from ordinary children. Both his physical and intellectual development were abnormal. A visit to the hospital revealed that the previous high fever and illness had indeed affected Pei Heshuan. He became cerebral palsied. Lin Cece couldn't accept that her genius son had become like this, unable to walk or speak, only giggling and drooling all day, or suddenly becoming irritable and screaming. She went crazy, often talking to herself, saying that she was the female protagonist and her son was a genius, and things shouldn't be like this. After learning that she had gone mad, I stopped paying attention to her. I knew very well that she was like a daughter flower that could only survive by clinging to others. At first, she relied on me, then on Pei Xiaoyun. Without Pei Xiaoyun, she thought she could rely on her child. When she found that no one she could rely on could support her anymore, her fate was to rot in the mud. No one knew that during the days when Pei Xiaoyun wasn't in the US with Lin Cece, every meal she ate was specially prepared by me, or rather, it was the first gift I specially prepared for Pei Heshuan. The second was the artificial rainfall that day, which took a lot of effort on my part. The third was teaching the naughty children nearby to break that glass. Pick, pick, pick. In this life, I will definitely make you two pick up poverty for the rest of your lives. The fifth was giving them some special offers during Pei Xiaoyun and Lin Cece's date, trying my best to keep them from going back too soon. I didn't want to get my hands dirty with blood, but I also couldn't let him become the devil in the plot, so I created countless coincidences to prevent him from becoming that genius. Fortunately, I succeeded. In the end, it took me 10 years to acquire all the novel hosting websites, not for anything else, but to put an end to manuscripts with distorted values similar to the plot of this world. I have plenty of money and just want to be willful.